Welcome to Nimmin Live, the #1 place on the internet to learn about YouTube, network with other content creators, and have an awesome time doing it. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be answering your YouTube questions, but we also have a very special guest. So first, of course, just like most Saturdays, I'm joined today by my brother from the same mother, D.
I'm gonna expose the guest.
Oh yeah, so we're not hitting the guest yet, and we have a very special guest today. His name is Jesse Davis. He has a network of YouTube channels that accumulate to over 10 million YouTube subscribers. That's just on YouTube by itself. He has one channel that's almost at 8 million just by itself there. And in addition to that, across social media, he's accumulated over 10 billion with a B views across all of his social media platforms. So he's going to be here today talking to you about, all the different things that they do and the experience that he's had. And we're also going to be answering some of your YouTube questions as well. So that's what we're doing today. And so without further ado, D and Jesse.
Hello, everybody.
So super excited to get the conversation going today, and really dig into, what Jesse has done and, his approach to YouTube and his approach to social media and the importance of getting your content out across, all of these different platforms right now, just with the way that everything's changing. A lot of, eye-opening information just from conversations that we've been having, throughout the day today about, the importance of making sure that you are going cross-platform. But we're going to get more into that as well. But first, before we do, I do want to let you know that today's stream is brought to you by TubeBuddy, which is the #1 tool for YouTube content creators. TubeBuddy will help you optimize your videos for discovery. TubeBuddy will help you A/B test your thumbnails to make sure the thumbnails that you are putting out are the most effective for the people that you are trying to reach. In addition to that, they have over 90 different tools that will help you with your YouTube channel. So you can try that for yourself at tubebuddy.com/Nimmin, or you can just go over to tubebuddy.com, but I've got links to that down in the description. In addition to that, this stream is co-brought to you by StreamYard, which is the live streaming platform that we use to stream this every Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern, almost 9 a.m., 9:30 today. And the reason that we use StreamYard is because it's easy. They do all the heavy lifting in the cloud. So if we have a tech problem or something like that, it holds the stream open for us so we don't lose you guys, if something, technical problem happens. In addition to that, they make it easy to bring on guests, add graphics to your screen, add background music. You can even add videos. And most importantly, or the second most important thing, they also record your content in the background while you're streaming, which is fantastic, especially for the conversation that we're going to be having today, for being able to take your content where it's still high quality and be able to, put that on other platforms if you choose. So without further ado, you can try that at StreamYard.com, or of course, I've got links to that down in the description as well.
Most importantly, they have an awesome mug.
Yes.
And I can't praise this mug enough.
Yes.
And we still don't have coasters. So
Yep. Coasters. Get them coasters. Please get them coasters over here. So as we get going here, just a little feedback here from you guys that are watching the stream. How many people here, just say me, if you currently broadcast your content, or you currently publish your content across multiple platforms? If you do, say yes. If you do not, say no. Because Jesse's going to be sharing some really interesting information with us today about that. But we're also going to be talking about, the things that he kept in mind for, actually growing all of his YouTube channels as well. And we're just going to go ahead and get into that. So Jesse.
Awesome.
So first off, so how long have you been on YouTube?
Been on YouTube since 2017, so that's about 6 years now.
Okay, so a lot's changed, of course, as we've been, kind of transitioning through time here.
Yeah.
So when it comes to YouTube, we have, mostly, there's some experienced content creators here as well, but we have mostly content creators here that are, just trying to, get past that first initial, like, hey, I'm just trying to get my first 1,000 subscribers, maybe my first 10,000 subscribers, for the people that have made it past that. For people that are, on that part of the journey, if you had like one piece of advice for people that are like, hey, I'm doing what I can right now. For those people, if you had one piece of advice, and we got like a bunch of time here, so we're gonna give all kinds of advice.
Hopefully, I can drop more than one.
Yeah, just to go ahead and give them something great right out of the gate. What do you got?
Really, this is a game of attention, and to get somebody's attention, you have to think about them, think about their needs, think about what's going to attract them. Even if it benefits you somehow, or if it's something that you're interested in, you got to make sure that you're appealing to somebody else. I think people forget about that. They just want to I'm going to make my thing and I'm going to push it out. Make my thing, push it out. And they're not thinking about the other party, which is the audience who is generating all those views and subscribers. So, it's really kind of like putting your audience first and also considering your needs.
Nice. Yeah, I think that's important, because, it's easy for a content creator to be selfish in terms of hey, I'm making what I want to make and I'm publishing it exactly how I want it. And when that happens, I mean, it's a great place to start. But then, when you do that, if you're not paying attention to how other people are responding to it, then you can end up in a situation to where you're just making something that people don't respond to at all.
Yeah,
right?
You could be making something they don't like, but while still following all the YouTube policies, best practices and all. And you're like, I'm ticking all the boxes. I'm checking everything off. I've done everything the way people are supposed to be doing it. And you're not seeing results. And I think a lot of the reason is that you haven't considered what people actually want. If Nike decided to make some brown shoe that was cool and artsy and it's what the CEO liked, but they never considered if the audience would actually buy the shoe, it wouldn't sell well. You know what I mean? And be like, why don't they like it? The CEO likes it. Well, you didn't talk to the people. You didn't see if they liked your ugly brown shoe. So, think of the audience and what they want.
Nice. So on your journey, so really quick, this is Tom's World. He says the first 1,000 subscribers was agonizing. It seemed to take forever, but then those numbers started to grow at a faster rate. So in addition to, your main channel, you also have, additional YouTube channels. Some of those you started, fairly recently. So for you, do you notice a difference, with the people that you're reaching? Anything similar there in terms of hey, getting started is, a little bit more difficult than, once you hit the ground running. Of course, you can leverage just what you have in your brain in terms of experience to get things, moving quicker.
Right.
But what do you think about, that concept in terms of, as you keep going, it gets easier? Personally, I'm kind of against that because I'm like, as you keep going, you get more serious, which can also make things a little bit more
you're leveling,
difficult.
you're pushing up the bar.
Right.
But no, I hear what Tom's saying because I think for many people, the first 1,000 is them just, it's like you've been thrown in the pool and you don't know how to swim, and it's not a great experience, right? And at some point you learn to swim right around that 1,000 subscriber mark, and then maybe it gets easier because you're like, oh, okay, I understand the systems and the policies and everything, and what I need to do, what the audience likes. So that part I understand can be agonizing for a lot of creators. But did I personally have that? No.
Okay. Good.
I had a serious game plan strategy right out of the gate. I treated it like a business. I think every single one of my channels got a silver play button before 6 months, some as soon as 3 months.
Nice.
So
3 to 6 months for each channel to get 100,000 subscribers.
yes.
Yeah. So I just want to put a highlight on that really quick, like Dee just did.
That's incredible.
And just kind of stress the importance of the information that that we're talking about here today. So,
but that comes with a plan, right? You had a
totally.
plan, right? You had a strategy,
Right.
What does that look like? So so say somebody is watching right now and say they're like Tom, who just, they just recently crossed, that first 1,000 subscribers, and they're like, okay, like what's next? Like, what is it that I'm, what is it I should be doing? Whatever. What is your advice for, people like Tom that are like, hey, I'm trying to get that play button as soon as possible, or just to the next milestone?
Well, like my swimming analogy, you've been thrown to deep end and now you're doggy paddling.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You're like, oh, my head's above water. I'm doing good. I'm moving in a direction. But really, your battle isn't over at the 1,000 subscriber mark. You have a lot of work to do. You still probably haven't got your thumbnail strategy on lock. You need to work on your titles. You need to work on your better research, having better content ideas. Like it's even now after 4,000, 5,000 videos, I've lost count, but even now it's like, sometimes it's a struggle still researching and coming up and finding that right idea that's really going to resonate with your audience. So now is the time to really get those processes rolling, and try to learn how to do everything still correctly and better. I think that's the next part of the journey.
Nice.
Jesse, did you hear the story of my play button?
I did not hear the story of play button.
Would you like to tell him the story of my play button briefly?
So when he was in Mexico, his play button came, and when his play button came,
he just kind of glossing over it. I finally reached a milestone of 100,000 subscribers while I was in Mexico, and you understand the grind behind that.
Oh, yeah.
You've got a bunch of them, right? Yeah. So I ordered the play button. I went through all of the thing. They shipped it all the way to Thailand, and I couldn't get it. So I said, hey, so it doesn't get lost, can you go pick it up for me? And he did. And guess what he did?
What'd you do, Nick?
I think it's somewhere in my place. I just haven't found it yet.
Oh.
Yeah.
He lost my play button.
Yeah.
I now have almost 160,000 subscribers, and I still don't have my play button.
Yeah.
Did you know
that you can order a new one?
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
order
but he won't take that.
Not the same.
I've already offered. Yeah, because it'd be easier to order one than to dig through the boxes that I think it might be in.
The only thing I will accept is his play button as tribute.
Yeah.
And I might do that and just order myself one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that'll be
Congratulations.
easier. Yeah.
Actually,
right.
the pain of that should be you have to order another one under my name.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
you have to keep my play
Just
button.
so I always remember.
So you always remember that you were the one that lost my play button.
Love it. So, lost my train of thought there.
I'll do that.
So for your YouTube channels, because you're able to quickly get subscribers and grow your channel quickly, and quickly get play buttons and whatnot. So Ernie at Shark Scrapper, he said he needs to Google like what strategy means and what the plan means and stuff like that. I know he's being sarcastic, but like what does that look like though? Like when you're starting one of your YouTube channels, and you are, putting a strategy together for that channel, like what does that look like? If somebody were to, if you were to draw it out for somebody and say like, this is what we think about, this is how we think about the content, this is how we think about, how we're publishing it. What does that look like?
Okay. So rule number 1, you are doing this to gain attention, not money, not views, not subscribers. Attention is the game, right? And that's what you're trying to get. Now, rule number 2, you are producing a show. This is not social media. This is not your personal page. This is not your stamp collecting / skydiving / Wiener Schnitzel page. It's you focus on a topic, you produce a show about that topic, and you create residual value for the audience. The next rule would be to treat it like a business. And I think I need to be clear here, because I'm not saying that you have to make money from it. But when a businessman or woman approaches a business person approaches a new business venture, right? They're going to research the market. They're going to do their due diligence. They're going to make sure that they talk to customers, that there's a market for the product. They'll test it out. So, there's a lot of pre-steps before they launch that first product. They're not just throwing something out there. Now you can, there's many ways to launch a channel. Yes, you can throw stuff out there. It may not be the best way to do it. So the last thing I'll probably say about launching a channel is before you launch the channel, you better have a target audience in mind. And so for our first channel, Brianna's Secret Club, TH, which you can Google or you look it up on YouTube. We did it with my daughter, Brianna, and we said, who are we trying to reach? And we started with little Thai girls aged 6 to 10. Now, I get this a lot where people say, well, how do I know my audience? How do I know who I want to reach? You don't always know that, and you're not going to always be correct. But if you at least have a target in mind, I mean, some people will go so far as to print out an avatar, find a picture on Google of who they think their target audience is, and they even stick it on the wall, right? And when they talk to the camera, that's who they're talking to, right? That's their target audience. Now, the magic of doing this, Nick, is that it doesn't matter what you do on your channel as long as you are serving this person, right? So we started with a target audience of little Thai girls aged 6 to 10. And our next question was, what do they like? So we just filled out a list of every single type of video content that we thought we could do that might be interesting to our target audience. And out of our 14 show segment ideas that we tested, within a month or two, we got enough data where we said, okay, we can cut 7 of those.
Okay,
So-
so with that, go ahead, D.
No, I was going to say, let's break it down to specifics because your target audience is children, specifically female.
Was,
But it was
Yeah.
specifically female children, little girls
Right.
between a certain age range.
Right.
So that's your avatar. So you're thinking, what type of videos would this age range of little girls be interested in?
Right.
Right. And did you come up with that with the help of your daughters?
Yeah. So in the beginning, we would just have like a family meeting. My daughter and I would just sit down at the table and we just hash out ideas. We came up with the name like that. And, we talk about the week and, we talk about what we did last week and what we do next week, how to improve.
But
But
she's telling you what she's interested in
kinda.
or what her friends might be interested in.
So what's interesting about it is that your target audience does not necessarily have to be you, right? It can be. You might be in your target audience, but you might not. There's some girls that could give dating advice to men, right? And that they might not be in that target demographic, but they might be able to speak to that demographic with authority, right? So in my case, my daughter was born in America. She came to Thailand when she was 4 and she spoke English natively. So she grew up in a different culture. She spoke a different language. She hung out around a lot of like foreign kids and international students. So we didn't think she was in the target demographic, but she was very appealing to that demographic. And they certainly liked her look and they liked how silly she was. And she worked, I think, because she was different from what they were expecting. All the other Thai channels was made of little Thai girls aged 6 to 10, and they behaved a certain way. They're very respectful. And my daughter is like really silly, and kind of loud, and kids
She
just
stood
loved
out.
her.
She stood out in a
She
market
stood
that
out.
was technically
That's right.
technically saturated.
Yes.
And she stood out in it by being a little bit different.
Right. In that case, part of the strategy, we were talking about strategy, is trying to start a channel in a place of opportunity, right?
That's what I did with my channel when I started.
Yes,
Exactly that.
That was exactly it. Yeah. You found an opportunity. You're like, hey, there's not many people in this niche talking about this, but I think a lot of people could use this information. You started it, and then bam, it worked well. And I think
There's
a lot of
still
channels,
nobody doing it.
There's a
like
couple.
his
There's
thing?
a couple. There's a couple.
Oh, okay.
There's a few
okay.
of us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know there's
But
like a
I'm
lot
the
of
only one that
filmmaker.
matters.
I know there's a lot of
No, I'm
filmmaker
kidding.
people, but
Colin's
I mean
great
people
too.
that
I
are
love you,
like.
Colin.
I know there's a lot of filmmaker ones, but I mean like people that are like specific
there's a
to
couple.
content creators like trying to
There's
grow
a couple
on YouTube.
of us, and they're really good at what
Okay,
they do.
okay.
No, especially
So it's
Colin.
still not saturated.
No, but it's, no. It's still not saturated. But the thing is that that particular time, there was pretty much nobody doing it.
Right.
Who was focused only on that. So yeah, you're spot on. Real quick before you take over, you mentioned that the rule number 1 is that you're fighting for attention. I thought that was key. You said you're fighting for attention. You're trying to get attention, not views, not subscribers. And I think that's so spot on because a lot of creators have this backwards when they're coming in. Like, I need all of these subscribers.
Yeah.
And they're completely putting the cart before the horse.
Right.
And like, if you don't know how to get the attention of the viewer, none of that other stuff's going to fall into place.
Yeah, that's
so,
right.
So your particular strategy, I guess, trying to come up with the plan was part of coming up with how to get the attention of those little girls.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely part of the strategy. And to be honest with subscribers, any big YouTuber knows this. Subscribers is just a vanity metric. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah, once you get past like the feature unlocks.
Yeah.
Once you
Right.
get past
Of
that,
course.
then it's like
Yeah, you get those, and then you need those. But to be honest, I see up and coming channels that maybe only have 100,000 subscribers that are killing it with every video, and they're gaining so much traction. And then you got an old channel with 10 million subs that looks so much bigger, and they're not even driving half the views.
Right.
Really quick, because I know we had some people join us who might not know who you are. Because we started, we said that, and the kind of the flood come in.
Yeah.
Do you want to like reintroduce him
Yeah,
so
sure,
people
totally.
understand like the authority that he's coming from? With
Yeah,
this?
so for those of you that are just joining, we're talking with Jesse Davis today. Jesse has a network of YouTube channels where he has accumulated over 10 million subscribers across that network. One of the channels has almost 8 million. Another channel has like 1.7 something. And then he's got, other channels that actually take him past that 10 million. But also, that's just on YouTube. He also has generated over 10 billion with a B views across YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, I think that's it. Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
much
across those, those four platforms, over 10 billion views accumulated, which is crazy. Like imagine in your scenario, like what 10 billion views would do for you,
That's
as a
life-changing.
content creator.
That's life-changing.
It is.
If you get to the point you're making 10 billion views on that, like that's a life-changing number. In terms of having influence on social media. And I also want to kind of give a little tease here to what we are going to talk about, because you mentioned that he's on all these different platforms. We are going to get into the conversation of all the other platforms and why you should be publishing or thinking of a plan on how you're going to publish to the other platforms and why is this going to be important. We'll get to that later. Just wanted to tease that a little bit.
Roger Wakefield in the house. What's up, dude?
Hey,
Hope you're doing
Roger, what's
awesome.
going on?
Daniel Batal also in the house.
Hey, Daniel, what's going on?
T's Hot Mess History. Hope you're doing fantastic today. Lynn's Life. Nice to see you in here. So, when it comes to, back to the strategy, one of the things that you mentioned was, that you are trying to, grab the attention of the young people in that case. So as part of your strategy, obviously, if you're trying to grab their attention, you also have to think about, okay, how do we leverage thumbnails as one of the things that grab their attention? So once we make the video, then how do we actually get attention to this? So when you are thinking about your thumbnails and, exactly what the viewer is going to see with your thumbnails, how do you leverage that to grab the attention of the people that you're trying to get in front of?
Thumbnails are so important. Some thumbnails are one of the areas that I'm particularly very strong in with my graphic design background. But a lot of times when I'm thinking, we're doing that research, we're coming up with the topic ideas, and we're trying to think of what topics do we think are going to perform. Now, we have a lot of data, obviously, but you kind of have an idea. If I pitched you 10 ideas, one of those ideas you'd be like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah, I would click on that. Oh, that's really interesting, right? So it's like the interesting concept. But along with that, when we're starting to brainstorm or we're filming the video, a lot of times I've got a thumbnail already in mind before the video is filmed. So when we film the video, usually if I need to take a photo for that thumbnail, I'll make sure we take a little 5 to 10 minute section and get that. But thumbnails probably the biggest contributor to CTR, or one of the biggest, and certainly that really helps with the algorithm push your video. And I think more importantly, when somebody's on that YouTube homepage and they are shown a selection of videos, which might not even be your competitors or your niche, it might be some other random channel that the person has watched before. But you are trying to get your video to stand out, compete visually with all the other ones on that page. And so you need to have something that, one, is eye-catching. I find dark thumbnails don't work too well.
Dark thumbnails do not work well?
That's what I found. Maybe that's my audience. I don't know. But usually if YouTube's default white, dark images tend to get lost. So I end up usually overwriting my images, adding color correctly. But keeping the design really simple, and most importantly, the design and the layout of the thumbnail needs to describe what the content is about. If you didn't have any text or the audience couldn't read, would they still be able to understand what that video is about? And if you can communicate that, you win. I mean,
if they couldn't read, never even thought about that. That's clever.
So
we hit
tell
the
everybody,
record button too and just let it roll for a while.
Yeah, really quick. I want to thank Regina for the super chat. Much
hey, thanks,
appreciated.
Regina.
Great seeing you in here. I tell people all the time. Let me hit record on this. I tell people all the time, when you're designing a thumbnail, if you are putting text on a thumbnail, always think of it as like people who might not be native to the language you're typing in, right? Because our videos get served all over the world. People from all over the world. If you look in to see what countries are watching, not everybody can read English, or if they can, maybe not. They can't read it very well. Some of the words you might be using might be too tricky. So I would say make it to where anybody can understand what you're saying, or just a lot of drunk people that are sitting there scrolling around, eyes a little glossy, the words are a little bit blurry, right? So if you can make your thumbnail to where somebody who doesn't speak English or your language, whatever that is, can understand it, and somebody who's had one too many can understand it, you're going to win. That's my little rule of thumb on thumbnails.
Good.
You're going to get clicks.
And really quick, one thing that I just want to mention here really quick. So Goober Ninja in the chat, they made a statement here that a lot of content creators think. The statement is that they give great advice, but you can have the most amazing everything, but it always doesn't work out. And then they followed that with people will watch only what they want to watch, not just because you have an amazing thumbnail. So the idea to that is being expressed is first is this is a conversation about how to help the people, identify that your content is something that they want to watch. And in addition to that, if you make something exceptional, then, people will click it, they will watch it, they will enjoy it. And when that process happens, YouTube will show it to more people. And the more people do watch it and enjoy it and click on it and, engage with it, the more YouTube will just keep showing it to people as long as people keep responding to it. So the whole idea isn't just like, hey, we're making something and putting it up that is like, okay. It's over, time. Like, the approach that Jesse takes with, the things that they make is they make exceptional content for their audience. And since they make exceptional content, you've been #1 in Thailand in the past, right? Or within like the top 3, I think.
We with kids content, we were like number 3 and 4 for years.
In the entire country.
Yeah, in the entire
country.
70 million people. 70 million people.
Yeah.
We did break top 10 overall one time.
Okay.
I think we got to position
That's
10.
huge.
Okay.
And this is against like the big telecom companies.
Sure,
and stuff
sure,
like
sure.
That. For kids content, there's a couple other kids channels that do really, really well.
The thing I'm trying to express though is like, you don't get to that by putting out content that's like okay or content that's good. You get that by putting out content that's exceptional.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And part of it, I think the factor that people miss about click-through rate. This is it. Okay. You're like, oh, I'm a clever writer. I write great titles. And you're like, and I'm an artist. I make cool thumbnails, and I write excellent descriptions. I've done everything. You're right. The concept of your idea sucks and nobody's interested in it. Or, maybe your idea is good, but it only appeals to a small group of people that caps your views. Yeah. So, what we find is that I don't even like calling it title. I don't do title research. I do concept research.
Yes.
I research interesting concepts that are fundamentally interesting.
Could you give me an example?
Sure. One time I made a giant cardboard toilet.
Okay.
Like
a lot of people aren't willing to do that. And that's where that line is drawn.
Yes.
Right? Is you're willing to make a giant toilet out of cardboard where a lot of people just aren't willing to put in that type of energy into making content.
Yeah.
Self included.
And let me say this. A lot of times
I would make a cardboard toilet.
Yeah.
He would.
Hey, I'm with you. Anytime you're like, yo, D, we're making a cardboard toilet. Get on a plane, come to Bangkok. I'm in. I'm in. So, Roger Wakefield, we're going to do a collab. Cardboard toilets all around.
So a lot of people know what would get views, but they're scared to make it. It's too much time. It's too much money. It's
what if
too
it doesn't
much effort. What if it doesn't work? Yeah. Like what I noticed is that it doesn't work every time, but when I go way beyond what's expected and I produce amazing content. Yeah. And it's incredible. It's like amazing. You have to click on this giant toilet that drives down the street and does donuts.
I would click on it.
Yeah, you would.
Hold on, real quick. There's a guy here in Chiang Mai. If you haven't seen him yet, he's converted a bathtub into a car.
Oh, I haven't seen that either. Yeah,
really?
I've got a video. I filmed it.
That's awesome.
It's an old video. It's like an old, like Victorian style bathtub, and it's got wheels on it. He sits in the bathtub with no seat, and he made like this little crazy steering wheel.
Wow!
And he just like flies around traffic, just darts. I'm just like,
that's awesome.
He's not going to make it because you barely see him. He's like really low to the ground.
Roger Wakefield. So Roger's a plumber. He has a channel where he teaches plumbers and helps like tradespeople, just see the opportunity that's inside of doing trades.
He's not a plumber. He's the plumber.
The plumber. Yes, the expert plumber.
He's earned that. Yeah.
And he just said, if you build it, I can plumb it. Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. That's my man. That's my man.
So good.
Real quick, and I'm sorry to throw. That's what I do. I just interrupt everything. because the person who left a comment about the thumbnail, right? And the thumbnail's not everything. It's not just the thumb. It's everything.
It's all of it.
It's the
everything.
concept. It's the thumbnail. It's the title. It's your first 30 seconds. It's how you maintain it's all of this stuff combined.
Yeah.
How can somebody go from one video to the next video? What's your playlist? It's all this stuff. Right?
Yeah,
It's not just one thing.
And they all have a different function too. Right. So like the thumbnail, it's like when somebody comes to YouTube homepage, it's the thumbnail's job to first grab the eye, right? It's like, hey, over here, look at this, right? And then after that, the thumbnail needs to communicate visually what the episode is about. And then they read the title, right? And so now there's this transference of the concept of your video. What is it about? Okay, so the thumbnail and the title, their job is just to communicate your message, what you're doing, and if that is interesting to the viewer, then they will click on it. So there's this other element of the concept of your content that is sort of transparent in that CTR metric.
So really quick, I was just going to put a little banner across the bottom of the screen so I can just kind of let people know what's going on. So I'll finish that here in a second. But like when you mentioned with thumbnails, so when you're putting a thumbnail together, one of the things that you mentioned before we kind of went off the topic there was adding color to your thumbnail.
Yeah.
What else do you do? Like when you're putting a thumbnail together, what are you thinking about? Okay, so you have Photoshop in front of you, and you say, okay, this video is going to be about us driving this toilet around Bangkok. So what's going on in your brain in terms of what you are going to put on that canvas?
Okay, I'm trying to remember what I did on that actual thumbnail,
or any of your thumbnails. Yeah, just any of the the thumbnails that you make. Like what are you thinking about when you're putting that together?
The strategy does vary depending on the type of content. The big thing is that if you're a channel where the face is branded, right? Like the face is recognizable. Like on our channel logo is like always my daughter's face, right? So I've noticed that to get good clicks, her face needs to be prominent. If she's too small in the background and I can't see who that is, it's not going to work.
Okay.
So that's kind of rule number one. Rule number two is it's got to be free of distraction. So usually what I do is we set up a photo shoot, but I will deliberately pick an area where there's not too much distraction. Maybe a hedge or a wall where it's not really busy with a lot of detail. It's there, but it's sort of plain, that allows me to focus on those key elements, the key people involved, the action that's taking place. So yeah, it's a keeping the thumbnail really clean. Probably one of the best ways I describe a thumbnail is it's like when you're driving down the highway at 60 miles an hour or 90 kilometers or whatever you're driving, and you see a billboard. Notice that billboard, right? That billboard is not designed to be a pretty art piece. It's designed to grab your attention and deliver a message very simply, very quickly. And the thumbnail, it's so much smaller, but it serves the exact same function as the highway billboard, right? It's got to be clean, clear of distraction, using correct color, not too muddy, and make sure you can see the isolated elements.
Contrast.
Yeah, good contrast and good color and clear text. And if you get all those right, people probably at least look at the thumbnail. I don't know if they'll click, but they'll look at it.
Do you have any rules in place, like when you're putting a thumbnail together, like, okay, no matter what, we only use like this amount of text, or no matter what, we only have this many objects in our thumbnail, or no matter what, we always make sure to include like this specific color, this specific branding thing, or I know you mentioned showing her face, as one of the prominent things. But in addition to that, do you have anything else that is kind of like a rule book for yourself when you're putting thumbnails together?
I am not a rules guy, Nick.
Okay. But, yeah, I can support that. Yeah,
but,
it's good.
That's right. Cardboard toilets, no rules.
But we do have, we do coach our editors through rough guidelines of what we want. We're pretty consistent with that. And if not, then I usually end up fixing them anyway. But usually I will go with one or two fonts. We have certain color combinations that we prefer. And usually that ties in with the branding for each channel.
Okay.
So yeah, there's, I guess, a style guideline, so to speak, with our thumbnails. Usually the rule is try to not have more than 3 people on the thumbnail. Once it gets more than 3, the camera needs to pan back too far where you can't really see faces very well, and it just looks like a group of people. Another rule that I sometimes...
I guess it would be a group of people.
Yeah. It just looks like a group of people. You can't
Cardboard
tell-
toilets,
Yeah,
man.
no details.
Cardboard toilet, too much glue. Too much
There's a lot of
glue.
glue in that. Another rule I have is no smiling.
Oh, interesting.
No smiling in thumbnails.
Okay.
Smiling tells people everything's good here. Everything's fine.
Ooh, you add
Nothing's
tension.
interesting. Keep going. No need to watch.
Tension. Curiosity. Why are they not smart?
Well, I've noticed that almost anything else performs better. If somebody's
Interesting.
angry, if somebody's shocked, if somebody's surprised, if somebody's curious or leery, those all invoke emotion. Like, why is he angry?
But
why are they
smiling
screaming?
doesn't trigger them. That's
Smiling
so
is like,
interesting.
I'm content, nothing to see here.
That's
So
interesting.
avoid smiling.
Nice.
That
nice.
is-
That's good.
That I've never even thought about not smiling. I don't smile a lot, but I'll grin.
It can be a smirk. I don't know. Like, I just find, like, make sure that whatever you're doing does evoke some type of emotion.
that's interesting.
It's not pure satisfaction.
Something to test, like something for everyone to test. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back and redo some thumbnails.
That's an easy one. I mean,
Use Photoshop to just put a frown on that same picture, make it a frown. AI.
you
Right.
look at Mr. Beast, like he's nailed it. Like he's figured out what works for his audience, you know, and usually it's the shocked, like, you know, the open face, but you know, that evokes emotion. You see a person and they're shocked or dying or whatever, or surprised. You're like, something must be going on. Something's interesting about this, you know? So.
Do you notice different patterns across your channels? Because I know you have, you know, like her channel, you have a channel for your son. You also have, you know, different, you know, channels that are based around like drama and things like that.
Absolutely.
Do you notice, like, for example, like, okay, in the drama content, when we use more, you know, like shocked faces or maybe curious faces, they get a better response compared to when we use that on like the kids channel, just nobody responds to that at all? Or like, do you notice anything like that with, you know, across the channels that you have?
Yeah. So, you know,
Patterns is what I'm looking
I hate
for. Yeah.
telling people, like, even the smiling thing, right? I'm leery to tell people that because maybe smiling works for one channel or
Right.
one type
Or
of
just
channel.
for the audience that you're reaching.
Gotta
Yeah.
test
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
You gotta test it to see what your
Yeah,
audience
right.
The
responds
the
to.
right
Right.
answer is the one that you split test with your audience.
Right,
And you
right.
test out and you find out where it works for
How
them.
much testing do you do?
Not enough, Nick.
Okay. Okay.
I am so bullish on testing. I have used TubeBuddy to do split tests on
Okay.
thumbnails
Nice,
this week.
nice.
So that I had a theory, but I had two good thumbnails, and I wasn't sure which one to go with. But I was like, okay, let's put it out. And the one I thought was going to win won. But you know, like if I had time, if I wasn't doing 28 pieces of long form content a week, then
Whoa.
maybe I would do more testing.
Whoa. 28 pieces of. Okay, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah. So in the chat, put in the chat right now how many pieces of content you make per week. Just put that in the chat right now, just because, you know, I'm just curious. So for me, I usually do 1 or 2 videos, and then a live stream or 2 is what I personally do. And sometimes that can be a lot, you know, when it comes to me. So when I hear 28, I'm like, holy moly, for long, you know, content.
No, so you got 28 long form pieces of content per week.
Yeah.
How many short form pieces of content per week? Because I know that you're tripling down on short form content right now.
Yeah, so we haven't gone. Maybe doubling down is better. Like
Okay.
we are definitely making a new move towards repurposing shorts as well as generating new shorts, new original shorts. So we're probably releasing, I guess, maybe at least 15 to 30 shorts a week.
In addition to the
In addition
long-form
to the
content.
20.
And really quick, okay, I'm going to kind of go backwards here for a second. We're talking about, because, you know, you've obviously built this up over time. How long have you been on YouTube?
6 years.
We just had everything go black because it was recording again.
Oh, interesting. Oh, I wonder if it gets too hot.
So, yeah, I don't know. Give me a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
So it's got some.
Is it really hot right now?
It's warm.
Okay.
Yeah, how weird. Anyway,
All right.
so you've been on YouTube for how long?
About 6 years.
6 years. That's actually not very long considering what you've achieved.
Right.
So
pretty quick.
let's back this up for a second, because I know the majority of the people in the audience right now is sitting here thinking, I don't have a crew, I don't have employees, it's just me, or maybe it's me and my significant other kind of doing this together. Let's go backwards to the beginning.
No employees.
No, yeah, it's just
No
like
employees.
your first
Yeah,
video.
and to be clear, how many people do you have now? Just so everybody knows, so you don't feel like,
right.
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
feel like, oh, I'm not doing enough.
Right.
Like, listen to this.
Yeah.
How many people do you have helping?
I think it's around 32 right now.
32
employees.
people helping with that process.
Employees.
So if you're thinking to yourself like, oh my gosh, like, how is that even possible? Like, that's how it's possible.
Yeah,
so it's
it's
not
right.
like he's just sitting there in his place grinding
yeah.
it out. Here's another video, and then editing it all
Right.
together. Like, he has help. So
We keep
yeah, so
Jesse.
just keep that in mind.
We
Yeah.
keep him locked in a basement chained to a radiator. I said 28 pieces of content. 28.
Can I please just go get some coffee?
28.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so when you started, video number one, like what was that like? Because a lot of people in here, like they don't have the momentum you have, they don't have the crew you have.
Okay.
Like you're just getting started. Your first 10 videos, your first 20 videos, where are you at there?
Okay, so month one, I'll just start with the first month.
Yeah. Month one.
Month one, I was working a full-time job. My wife was a housewife, so she was able to help out. But my kids were still kids, so we had to film during evenings or weekends, which meant research, editing during the week, during school hours, and then the evenings and weekends, we would film. And we decided that we wanted to test the algorithm, the YouTube algorithm, to see if it benefited from more content. Like if you put out a bunch of content, would it like it or not? And I've heard that it kind of works with TikTok, putting out like 3-4 pieces of content a day. But I just didn't know, right? So we were going to test this out. And also we had 14 categories of content that we were going to test out, right? So I needed to get data. So what we did is we worked hard for maybe a month and a half prepping content.
Define working hard. How many pieces of content were you thinking about putting out at that
The
time?
first month we released 50.
50 videos your first month.
50 videos first
And
month.
it's you? Like who's involved at that point?
It was me, my daughter, my son, and my wife, and occasionally like a cousin or two.
Okay. So you're starting out with a children's channel.
Yeah.
Who was actually doing, obviously they were in the video. So who's doing the editing? Who's making the thumbnails?
I was doing all the editing and the thumbnails. I would film. My wife would help talk, or sometimes she would film, and I would be. We would take turns, but mostly, in that beginning part, I was all about volume. It was all about just speed and crank things out. So we were doing pretty simple videos. Didn't require a lot of editing.
How long were the videos
We were
on average?
targeting 3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minutes.
3 to 5 minute videos.
Cranking out content.
Just cranking them out. And so we had so many ideas. So just anything we could think of. Like if anybody had any ideas, nothing was vetoed, nothing was off the table. We're like, okay, just write it down, and we're just going to do everything. And so we did a lot of stuff like I think the first video we did was like chubby bunnies, where you just stuck the marshmallows in your mouth and tried to say chubby bunnies.
Okay.
And we just kind of run around the table doing that. So
on
I would do
that
that. I would do
particular-
that now.
On
That
that,
sounds like a
on
fun
that
video.
video, you did that because that was a trend at the time?
yeah, it had been a trend. People had been doing it before.
Okay, okay.
And we just saw the game, thought it was fun. Like again, anything.
So
we
that
thought
wasn't a
was fun.
strategic thing at that point in time,
Right.
or was it?
I don't think it was as much strategic as it was
Just
just like
having fun.
Anything that was fun, we're gonna do, and we're gonna see what works.
Okay.
And then we'll audit in month 2, and we'll cut down what doesn't work, and we'll focus on what works.
Okay.
So eventually, we did slow down to 10 pieces of content a week.
Okay.
Nice slow pace.
Slow pace.
But no, like
Love it.
if people are hearing it, they're like, "How on earth can you do that?" There's 2 answers. One is that we said we're not going to do this forever. We're going to do this for a season because we realize it's going to burn you out,
Sure.
and it's unsustainable. We're just going to try that for a while. We probably tried it a little too long before cutting back, but we're just going to work hard for a season. The other thing is that we came out of the app industry. And not just app industry, a specific niche of the app industry where we were using pre-existing code to like mass produce content for entrepreneurs, mass produce apps for entrepreneurs.
Okay.
I'm used to saying content. Well, so we had this kind of like volume pipeline. We would build this pipeline out. So like, and it worked backwards. It was like, okay, I want to produce 10 pieces of content this week. what would that look like? What would I have to do to get 10 pieces of content out? It wasn't like, oh, one piece takes this long and then I'll have to do that. So a lot of what it was is just massive batch shooting. Prep during the week. So spend a couple days prep. You buy all the stuff. You buy the marshmallows. You buy the games stuff and like whatever you need. And we have a whole list of content. And then it's just you come up and shoot and it's bam, bam, bam. And we'd still do shorts like this. I think this past weekend, I think we did 4 regular pieces of content and 7 shorts on a Saturday.
Okay.
So that's how we did it. But I mean, I think there's just one weekend where we did we filmed like 21 or 22 pieces of content and had 6 edited by Monday morning.
Okay,
Did you
so-
burn out?
Oh yeah.
In this process, how long did it take you when you were going through that to just hit that wall to where you're like, okay, yeah, this is a bit much.
we never had
Okay, I got to sell the kids. I got to get rid of honey, we're getting rid of the kids. Too much.
we never had a mental breakdown, but there was times where we just felt like I'm so tired. I think that part of the thing was we were seeing so much traction, we we're all excited, so
Sure.
we just kind of pushed through it.
Excited for
And the other thing was I didn't want to make the kids have a bad time.
Sure.
So to avoid any sort of psychological issues, we'd sit down and have an audit with the kids.
Future trauma.
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to be on
Keep the kids out
Honey
of therapy.
Boo Boo or
Right. Dr. Phil's got your kids on stage. So
I-
you know you messed up somewhere.
just say how you doing? Is there anything we're doing? Is it too much? And I still do that, and well, recently we've made changes and it's kind of scaled back so my daughter can have a high school life and
Right.
hang out with her friends. But I said, okay, one Saturday a week, that's it. She's like, okay, all right, that's good. So that's our compromise right now. But it's like you do have to examine the social or the psychological component to working that hard and that fast because it will take a toll on you eventually.
So
Sure.
you started on the grind.
Oh,
50
yeah.
pieces of content a month. So between the time you started on the grind, that's a significant amount of content.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to actually start seeing momentum on the channel to where you were like, this is working?
Okay, so I'll walk you through chronologically.
And did you have to make any shifts along the way?
Yeah, not too much. This channel was a darn near perfect launch. We hit 1 million subs in a year.
Nice.
I've heard of people doing that, but not much faster. That's
incredible.
almost as fast as you can get. And so I think the reason is that, we were trying so much that we were getting so much data. So think about it, like a creator that only does one piece of content a week.
It's going to take a while to get the
52 weeks in a
information
year,
you need. Right.
52. So we got a year's worth of data in the first month.
Say that again.
A year's worth of data in the first month.
A year's worth of data from YouTube about what's working and what's not working on your channel in an entire month. And that allowed you to make future decisions immediately.
Right. We were able to basically experience year 2 on the second month. So we on week 5, we noticed a trend about. Have you ever seen Milo cubes?
No.
So Nestle Milo, like the package that they have,
The green
which is-
ones, right? Aren't they
Yeah,
green?
yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the green version of Ovaltine or
Oh,
whatever.
Okay,
yes,
Nestle Milo.
yes,
So-
yes.
So it's like hot chocolate or something, right?
Yeah, all they had was they compressed that into basically a sugar cube.
Oh, okay.
They were called Milo cubes, and they'd sell them as snacks. They came out in Indonesia, and all of a sudden there was this underground buzz about this snack from Indonesia, but nobody had seen it or tried it yet, right? So there was this appetite for this interesting thing, and I guess my wife said maybe we should do a video about this.
Timing.
I'm like,
You nailed it
okay,
on the
cool. So
timing.
I made a little press out of Legos. And so we made up this mixture and we made our own Milo cubes and pressed it. And that video hit 80,000 views in the first week.
Wow.
Which was 80,000 views when you're 5 weeks old is
Yeah.
Yeah.
and after that, of course, then we got the subs in, and then we're okay, and we just kept at it, but that really kicked the channel off.
So
How?
sorry, man, I keep cutting you off.
No, it's okay. I was just
Ladies
going to
and
ask
gentlemen,
because we
welcome
have
to the Nimmin Show.
because I was because there's a
ahead, go
comment
ahead.
pinned to the screen because they asked a really good question
Yeah,
here.
go
So since you are putting out tons of content and you're getting a lot of information very fast on things that you should do and shouldn't do to move forward, Fork Tongue Media here says, like, how long should you stick with one formula or just one thing before changing it up? Like, how long do you give before you're like, you know what, this isn't working, we need to move on or come up with something else?
That's a great question. So usually the analytics kind of tell you start to see a
What do you
pattern.
look for? What do you look for?
That was my question.
Oh,
I was
okay.
going to say, you're looking at the data. You've got all this data from
Right.
1 year's worth of data. What data were you looking at? And again, we've got a lot more data now than what you did back then.
Of course, right.
Right.
So let's say I'm starting a trend, a new bucket, or a playlist or something of like a certain type of content.
For new content creators, and I hate to cut you off, but just for clarity, because there's a lot of new people start watching, could you explain what you mean by bucket?
Yeah, just videos of a similar type of content. Maybe you're running an IT channel and it's about how to fix Windows problems.
Okay.
Right? So there's a different type of videos, but they all kind of revolve around the same general topic of Windows, kind of a bingeable playlist, so to speak. So like, let's say that's my new segment that I'm gonna start. And so every month I might have 1 or 2 videos on that topic, and we're gonna keep it going. And usually you can kind of see a trend kind of going up. Usually it's rising for a while, right? People kind of figure out they like your content, you're producing more, it's going up and up and up. But at some point it peaks. For instance, I was doing cardboard videos for a while, and like when I first started doing them, it was like every video was like 2 to 4 million views.
Wow.
Like it was just like going like gangbusters. It was like one of the best discoveries I ever made. It was just like, this is great, and people loved it.
No one else here making the cardboard videos?
There was a couple channels in America that were doing cardboard videos, not quite like mine.
Children's cardboard.
No, nobody did it. We did a
Wow.
cardboard 7-Eleven, which 7-Eleven's huge in Thailand, like everywhere.
Yeah.
And that was it. Like every other channel copied us. Like after that, cardboard 7-Elevens, and it was like all the rage. And that was like our
Like
key video.
full size 7-Eleven. Children's size.
Yeah. Like I installed like a working microwave in the wall. Right.
Nice.
And then I went to 7-Eleven and bought all the microwave burritos, and the kids could actually go buy the burritos at the cash register and then heat it up.
Nice.
It's really important to emphasize here the amount of work
That goes into that. Yeah.
like I built a 7-Eleven out of cardboard.
Right.
Like a miniature 7-Eleven, but like miniature enough to where children could go inside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With electricity.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
With
so you could-
electricity. That's incredible. But right? That's why you've been able to get to where you are.
Yeah, sometimes the
That's
barrier
incredible.
to success is that thing that you don't want to do.
Yeah. Or just what you're willing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, in terms of, how long before you, decide to continue on with something or, kill that, that bucket, what's the call that you make there?
Usually, if that hot topic or that thing that I'm doing that's got a lot of momentum starts dropping below our normal content threshold, that's usually when I cut it. So,
Okay.
I mean, it's like if you've got a great topic and it's working for you, you keep it going as long as possible, right? So it's not like, I just let it run for a little while. But usually you can start to tell when the audience is cooled on an idea and you're not getting those record views anymore. Like when our cardboard stuff, I think the last thing I built was a half-scale Lamborghini. I'm trying to think of the name. It was the smallest Lamborghini that they had. But I made a functional, drivable, half-scale Lamborghini out of cardboard, and it just fizzled. And it was like so much work. It was like 3 days worth of work. And after that, I was kind of like, yeah, I think this topic's about done. I think we'll hang this up.
Should have been a Bugatti.
So yeah, right.
A lot of curves.
So what you're so when you are in your analytics and you're tracking this, basically you're just looking for the peak. So let's say that that you publish something today. Let's say you come up with a new concept and you start deploying that concept on any of the channels, and you're letting that run. How long do you let it go before you actually decide? Like, okay, like people are or they're not. They either are or they are not responding to this at a level compared to our other content. How long do you let that run for?
I guess it depends on how much content I want to make on it.
Okay.
Like a new topic. But usually like it's foolish to just do one type of video one time and not get enough data on if the audience would like that type of thing. Because maybe the first one you put out was a dud, but number 2 or 3 does well. We did a brand deal series for a large Thai brand, very large Thai brand, and they commissioned us to do like a 10-part series.
Wow.
And we killed it. We delivered so many views. It was something like 26 million views across the series.
Wow.
But there was one or two
Yeah.
that, was like really way, way lower than the others where it didn't work. So imagine if that's your first video in the series that you put out.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Right. So, and sometimes the series gets better over time as you learn and adapt. So I would try to do at least 3 videos, and if you do 3 and there's no response from all 3, I think it's relatively safe to say that, shouldn't do it. If it does okay and you think you can develop it, you keep going. This stuff, you just got to feel it out. Is it worth my time? Is it driving views? Is it getting the results I want? If yes, continue. If not, then, cool it or, pause it or whatever.
So what are you looking for when it comes to audience response? Are you looking for, people like returning back to the channel for those videos? Are you looking for just like retention on those videos? Are you looking at, relative? Are you looking at, compared to other videos? Like what are you looking at when you're in your analytics and you're deciding like, okay, this is, this is good outside of just views. Cause that's obviously, a good starting point.
Right.
But like when you're in there and you're figuring out like, okay, this is what, the audience is like, they're really digging this compared to like, okay, there's a lot of people watching this, but are they like really getting into it? Like, what are you looking at?
Yeah. I mean, number 1 is views, as you mentioned. 2 would probably be retention.
Okay.
Metrics. Like, is this, because I mean, retention is really the thing. YouTube loves watch time. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what they want. And if this video is capable of delivering watch time, then maybe we need to reformulate the thumbnails. And that's always a good position to have, because if your CTR is low, but your retention is high, that means the video itself is solid and you just got to conceptualize on how to get more people to click on it. But if the CTR is high and the retention is low, that's a bad sign. That means the audience really isn't digging the content. Also, I read the comments. If people are like we did a couple videos where it was kind of like more silly family stuff, and it felt a little more like the old style content. And I got some really cool comments on that, like, man, this feels like the old Brianna Secret Club. This feels like your old content. I love this. Like, that's what I'm looking for. That like I connected with the audience with this new type of content.
So much that they're getting vocal about it.
Yeah, they're
nice.
vocalizing the thing that I was thinking in my head. When that happens, I pay attention.
Nice. So for everybody watching here, so again, if you are just joining us, Jesse has over 10 billion views across platforms. He's got over 10 million subscribers across his network on YouTube. Most of that actually comes from one channel with almost 8 million subscribers. So in addition to, sharing what it is that he's went through, we're also looking to answer your questions as well. So since we do have a guest today, we're not actually pulling them from the form. Instead, we're just going to be pulling questions directly out of the chat. So if you have any questions for Jesse about, either his journey or just any questions that you have, about YouTube that any of us can answer, then definitely just go ahead and leave them in the chat right now. But just make sure you put a Q in front of your question, and that is going to help us identify that the question is for us and not, just a side conversation that's going on in the chat.
Yeah, I think it's great to have, like, this is a fantastic question or a fantastic opportunity. If you've ever been sitting around and thinking like, I wonder if somebody with like a huge channel thinks this, or I wonder what they're looking at. Right. Like right now is a great opportunity, because I've been asking him all day. I'm just like, show me your data, show me your data, show me your data. I got to see it.
So if
Not
you
really, I didn't bug you.
So your most recent channels that you started, how long ago did you start the most recent one?
Maybe about a year ago was probably the most recent one.
Okay.
And it was actually a Facebook page we had going for a while, but we had never gotten around to actually making a YouTube channel for it. So that we finally set it up. So predictably, that did pretty good right off the bat.
Okay. So one question that we have here is from some guy called Jay. Says, what would you do to grow a gaming channel? If you were starting a gaming channel, what would be your approach to getting attention to a gaming channel?
Okay. So I think, and I have talked to gaming creators before. The one thing I can say is the #1 gaming creator in Thailand is actually a girl named Zibing Z. And she excels at creating narratives with game content.
Okay.
She's telling
Explain.
stories.
She's
and
telling stories.
just kills it. I mean, just dominates it.
She's making up stories that are in alignment with what's happening in the game.
Yeah,
or-
she's almost using the game footage to tell a story. Like she's talking over the pictures of the character.
but creating a story
While she's playing?
while she's
While
playing.
she- yeah.
Not
Oh,
just
interesting.
about like, oh, I'm playing this thing. That she's talking about, oh, Jennifer's running through the forest and she's this magical place.
No,
called
she's narrating what she's doing in the game.
okay.
Like she's like, "Oh, Mr. Zombie, don't get me. Look, I'm over here. I'm doing this. Blah 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 blah."
like
Almost
teasing-
like the character in the video.
Like
is
she's in
talking.
there. She is the character.
Yeah. Well,
I see.
okay. So the reason I brought her up is that she's not just playing the game for fun. I think any game creator, if they're really serious, needs to understand one really big factor is that creating amazing gaming content is not fun. It's a
Interesting.
lot of freaking
Interesting.
work. It is a lot of freaking work. My buddy
Yeah.
does some of those Minecraft channels. That's like 100 hours.
Yeah.
It's like 100 hour in this, 100 hour in that. And it ended up breaking him like to the point where he just like, quit the Minecraft channel because it was so much work to get this stuff. So I think the problem I have with gaming channels is not the gaming channel itself. It's the attitude that people have. They think like, well, I like gaming. I can turn on a camera. Therefore, I make content. But remember what we talked about? My toilet was the hard thing that I had to do,
Yeah.
or my 7-Eleven. I made this big epic stuff, not because it was easy, but because it was the hard thing that nobody else was willing to do. Right? And if you're creating a gaming channel, there's something that you could do that would make your channel really unique, really special, that really stands out from every other gaming channel. But a lot of times it means extra work, extra storytelling, extra writing, maybe, popping out of the game for a quick commentary.
A lot of planning.
I saw one channel that my son watches has his editor animate himself as like a little dude in a bear costume that pops in and makes little comments
Nice.
about everything. And it like completely makes this channel stand out. I mean, okay, it's a gimmick,
Sure.
right?
But I mean, gimmicks work.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they work. Like if you have a good gimmick, it can work.
Yeah. So, I mean, for a gaming channel, one, you have to have a game that's got wide enough appeal to have a large enough audience that's not overly competitive with like I would never start a Minecraft channel, just period, ever. I never recommend that. I mean, and there are creators who do that. They do find a way to be competitive in that space. But that's the hard road. Maybe a new game coming out that doesn't have a lot of content creators on it is a blue ocean opportunity for a gaming creator. But treat games as one type of visual content. You can mix it with other types of visual content. There's a lot of ways you can be creative with that footage and create something maybe unique or original or different. But it's the games in general is like a red ocean. It's a shark feeding frenzy. So if you want to be competitive, you got to be able to stand out or compete. Are you as good as Ninja? Maybe you can make competitive game videos, or maybe you're really funny, like Video Game Donkey, and you just hilarious. It doesn't matter what game he plays. He's just so funny that everybody watches his content anyway, which is great. I mean, he can do anything forevermore, and people still watch him. So, but those guys, they stand out for a reason. Ninja's a pro gamer. Video Game Donkey's really, really funny, right? And you remember that.
And both of those are their things. So find your thing. Is
You
what
got
you're
to find
saying.
your thing.
Yeah.
That's
Find your
right.
thing.
That's right.
So another question that we have here, this is from Draco Marine Services. They ask, what is the best way, and this is like definitely your wheelhouse. They say, what is the best way to produce for cross-platform content?
Okay. So we kind of have a dual strategy. So you have long form and you have short form. And some platforms are good at one or the other. So YouTube has both. Facebook has both. TikTok has mostly vertical short form. Same thing with Instagram and Twitter. So I tend to try not to shoot one size fits all video because honestly, the cropping is just such a headache. I prefer so what we do right now is I shoot my long form usually horizontal, normal YouTube videos, right? And I can upload those to Facebook, or I can maybe crop them a little bit and upload to Facebook. Not too much editing there. And then I will separately on a different day, or maybe even the same day, depending on the opportunity, film additional shorts that are specifically meant to be 1 minute. I'm starting to think that provides more value to your audience, being, different, unique, original content rather than just repurposed content. And also sometimes it's more to the point because it was filmed as a short. So
the intention like takes out all the fluff and all the stuff that
Right.
doesn't really make it a good short.
Right. So like, let's say, are they doing marine pool cleaning, or is that,
They're marine services, so I'm not sure exactly what it is that they do. But Draco Marine Services is the name of the channel, so I'm not sure.
okay. So let's just say hypothetically you have a fish tank channel about taking care of fish tanks, maintaining a saltwater tank, blah, 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 blah. Okay. You have your main piece of content for the day, right? Your long form content. Let's say you just set up a new tank with sea anemones. Anemones. That's hard to say. Sea anemones, and you have some clownfish, right? And that's your main piece of content. I would finish with that, and then take your phone out, flip it vertical, and film another quick segment about like these are the top 5 tips for keeping clownfish. 1, keep them well fed. 2, make sure you have these anemones. And 3, blah 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 blah. Like
They do boating and yachting is what they do.
Oh, okay.
Oh, boating and yachting. Okay.
Wildly different.
Yeah.
Wildly. I was
Yeah.
like, I totally am going to get
Yeah.
this wrong. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean,
Water. There's water there.
Water.
Yeah. And there's fish under
Yeah.
boats.
Yeah, there are
So
fish.
we're good.
Yeah.
I just got the location of the fish wrong.
So we'll move on to another question. But the idea is basically making content, just quickly making something else that would
Yeah.
kind of supplement instead of just trying to squeeze the main video into a short.
Right. So with every video, we film long form content. We take a separate photo shoot for the thumbnail. And then if it's relevant, we will try to come up with a very quick short based on the same location or content idea. And that way you're already in the mindset and you're there with all the stuff. So it's really easy to create a short.
Okay.
And then from there, you can put it on all the platforms.
So our next question is from Motive Music Studios. They say, is there anything that you wish you would have done differently at the start of your YouTube journey? I mean, it's worked out pretty well. But anything in the process. It could be, workflow. It could be, thinking of something in a different way.
Yeah.
I mean, anything.
This question I've been asked many times, and it is such a hard one because I always consider that this channel had like a near perfect launch.
Okay.
And I had zero regrets about it. It was a wild ride. That first year was just amazing. But there was a couple things that maybe I got a little wrong. I maybe regret spending way too much time with SEO.
Okay.
Back then it was a little more important than it is right now. Right now,
And for the type of content you make, it's not really. Yeah.
yeah, but we were doing good on SEO. I mean, there was clips where I ranked top 10 for 14 different keywords.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
So our search performance was good because we knew SEO. But spending a lot of time doing that. I kind of regret not switching to a larger, more official camera with a removable memory card sooner. So a little tip for you guys that ever get monetized or you get a brand deal or you start making some money, I would recommend that you reinvest in your channel in some capacity. That could be getting some lights, microphone, eventually upgrading to a mirrorless or DSLR camera or camcorder. We've always had the idea that if our audience gives to us, we want to give back. So reinvest. And that can also include knowledge, training courses, what materials or whatever you need. So, I do recommend switching to that. I think we had made way more money than what was required to buy a camera.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
We're still filming with iPhone and be like, well, I want this lightning cable transfer files.
So definitely less stress if you would have upgraded sooner.
Yes, it would have saved me a lot of time and stress upgrading to a camera sooner. It wasn't like the videos were terrible on the iPhone. You can absolutely kill it and grow a channel with a mobile phone. But if your workflow is slowing you down, sometimes you need to you might need to get the right gear for the right channel.
Speaking, go ahead.
No, I insist.
Oh, just really quick. So speaking of like reinvesting into your channel, we were talking about something earlier today, where like you guys are getting like houses that you can shoot in, so you can build like full sets in these houses and stuff like that. Like for creators that are just starting out, what advice do you have for them in terms of like, okay, you have started publishing content, you get into the partner program, you start getting some ad money. What do you like? How do you think? A new content creator that's just getting started, how do you think they should reinvest that money, and what would be like the first thing or the first couple of things that you would invest into as a new content creator once you started getting some money that you could reinvest into it?
Okay, number one, microphone.
Okay.
If you guys are on a budget, I recently picked up a it's for iPhone, or I think they have a USB-C version for Android. It was a Boya
B1M1?
B1M6.
B1M6. Okay.
I knew it was going to be Boya. I knew it was going to be Boya. As soon as you're like budget, I was like, Boya.
I mean, you have no idea how many microphones and cameras I have. And I was really, really impressed with this little mic. You got 2 wireless mics. So if it's just you, you're fine. If you're interviewing somebody or there's anybody else on camera, you got one for them. And it's like super cheap and it worked great. But do put on the fuzzy wind cover.
Microphone. And why would you invest in a microphone first?
There's been many studies that people will watch poorly filmed video, but they will not stand for poorly made audio.
Okay.
Like if they can't hear the voice, if it's muffled, it sounds horrible. It's going to be like they're going to click off and watch something else. So they need to be able to hear. That is the number one thing. Number two, I think, is lights. And lighting is probably one of the biggest hiccups. It was one of the things I struggled with the most. We ended up getting 2, I think it was about Yongnuo, I think 900 LED bulbs, daylight balanced. So we'd have 2 of these. You mount them up on a light pole, roughly 45 degrees down, keep one a little bit brighter than the other to get like a dynamic shadow on the face. And very important, make sure there's some light behind the person, right? Otherwise you get some really nasty shadows.
Yeah. Can I just demonstrate that
Yeah.
for a second? Yeah. So I want to demonstrate this. So we have 2 very subtle lights. So if you look at Nick right now, let me just kind of put this on. You're going to look at his shoulders. He's wearing a dark shirt, and you see that the top, and again, these aren't perfectly placed. We're just working with what we can here. But you can see that his shoulders has some highlighting on there. It's because we have a little overhead light on there, and you can see what's going to happen when I turn them off. Give me 1 second. See that? You can see the difference between turning that little highlight light on, and it's just a little dish that's shining down to light up our shoulders because we have dark shirts on. And if we had hair, you wouldn't see the shine on his head like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if I just wasn't oily.
Yeah. Just greasy.
Yeah.
Why are you
Just
so greasy
and oily
What
and
happened?
gross?
Just
Yeah.
like, what happened to you, man? We didn't
So
raise
the
you
next-
to be this way.
Right.
You're greasy and oily and nasty.
So
You ever
before
ride
I
a
had
bus next to him and he gets off the bus, there's like an area.
Dude, that's gross.
There's like his grease hair area on a public transportation.
gross.
Yeah, that's him, man. That's on
Hey,
him.
so did you have another question before I move on to the next question? Because you had something and then I jumped in and you said that you insist.
It was probably the best question of the night.
Okay, so the next question is from Radhika, VJ Podcast and Books. They say, tell me about a channel name. Should I include the niche/content as I have done, or simply my own name, including the prefix doctor, as I am one? So what are your thoughts on channel names? So how important do you think it is to have like a unique channel name, or to have, because there's, like, for example, if you were to put in like, the best gamer, there's probably 1,000 YouTube channels called the best gamer. One has a handle, but
Right.
the rest of them will have like the channel name. So like, what is your opinion on the importance of a channel name?
I think people stress over this probably too much. The important thing is branding here. But there is a business decision in this question. And that business decision is, am I the person, the doctor, the brand? Am I the brand? And if so, am I going to brand myself? Now, that's very powerful. The advantage of that is that you make people recognize who you are. And that's a good way to do it, especially like Dr. Mike, right, is an example, right? Like people know Dr. Mike, and he's kind of built himself a brand. However, let's say Dr. Mike decides not to do YouTube. He is now in a pickle, right? Because everybody knows he's
Pickle
Dr. Mike.
Pickle Mike.
Yeah, it could be Pickle Mike.
Yeah.
If
Right.
we go Rick and Morty. Yeah, good.
It's not the sassy doctor or whatever, right? It's not something that he can transition over to somebody else. So that is something. It's almost like an exit strategy question. Like, am I ever going to turn this over to somebody else? Am I ever going to want somebody to help me out with the channel so that I can have somebody? Now, on our channel, I named it after my daughter. It was her channel. I never planned on anybody taking it over, so I felt pretty confident to name it after her. But so there's arguments either way. But you do want to come up with something that's somewhat memorable, that's not too hard, that people can remember, and you want to consider your branding.
Are you going to write a book for YouTubers?
This
This is from the Regina show. She says you're going to write a book for YouTubers.
The funny thing is, I started writing a course along maybe about 2 years ago, and I ended up getting to like 80 pages and realized I'd basically written a book.
Oh, nice, nice.
But I've never done anything with it, so I don't know. That's a big I don't know.
Nice. And speaking of courses, really quick. Sorry, D. Speaking of courses, really quick. So just to let everybody know, so Jesse, some of you will know Owen Himsath or Owen Video. Owen Video. So for those of you that know Owen, or if you don't know Owen, so Jesse and Owen are actually building a program for content creators that are a little bit further in the journey, people that are already like a little bit established content creators. Let's say you've got 5 or 10,000 subscribers, and you're wanting to kind of take things to the next level. They are putting a course together, and it's not just a course; it's like support. They help you with strategy and all that stuff. But I have a link to it down in the description. If you are, a content creator that needs something like that, definitely make sure that you check that out as well. Me personally, Jesse, I'm not ever going to write a book for YouTube. There's so many good books out there. There's so many good books out there for it, and there's so many, knowledgeable people, that have put out good books. My thing is like I've always mentioned that if I ever do a YouTube book, it's going to be like a coffee table book, and it'll be like a 365 days of YouTube. Day 1 do this, day 2 do this, day 3 do this. And just have like cool pictures in there.
That'd be
Just
great.
have a cool
Nobody's done
design to it.
Yeah.
Just so it's not like a thing that you got to sit there and like read a bunch of stuff through. It's just like, hey, here's a quick tip for Monday, quick tip for Tuesday, and so on. That's kind of my approach if I ever
What
do
he's
that.
trying to say is it's going to be a picture book because Nick can't read.
Yeah, right.
Fun fact there.
Yeah, well, fun fact.
So I was gonna go back on what Jesse was saying about channel name, because they asked if the channel name was important. One piece of advice I love to give people for channel names is at some point you might be on a podcast, and they might say, tell our listeners how to find your channel. And if it's a crazy name where it's like, oh, my channel, it's you can find like the _top dog, but like
8736.
Right, but like O is actually a 0. And, right? Like, you need something that's like very clear and concise and easy for people to remember and easy to tell people how to find you on a podcast without confusion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even in
That's my
situations
rule of
like
thumb.
this right here. If we were like, hey, Jesse, what's your YouTube channel? Instead of being like, Brianna Secret Club, you'd be like, Jesse 136 underscore 12.
Right, underscore 12. But,
12.
But not 12 like 1, 2.
Yeah,
it's
spell
like
it
it's
out.
like the number 1
Yeah.
and then 12 is written out in letters.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, what? Yeah, make it easy.
So let's see here. So next question that we have here is, how long did it take you to reach 10 million subscribers in total from your on YouTube specifically? Not just not everything accumulated, but YouTube specifically.
That's kind of cumulative. Our primary channel, Brianna Secret Club, is the one that's done most of the
Heavy
views.
lifting there. Yeah.
Yeah, and that one hit 1 million at 1 year. And then
I feel like
it's
quitting.
been growing since then, but the problem is we've run out of audience.
Okay.
It's like we had incredible growth for a while, but our channel represents almost exclusively Thai viewers, and there's 70 million people in Thailand, and there's 7.8 million subs.
I've got a
on our channel.
solution.
Right.
Thai people, listen to me. Make more babies. Jesse needs more babies. Make more children.
It's funny because the
Just
new
so he has
babies are
more
the
people
ones
to
that
show
are,
content to.
they're subbing to us now.
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah. The high schoolers are starting to unsub.
You got a super chat.
Hey.
I don't see it.
Beaver Zero, putting it on the screen.
Okay, it says, in my defense, you will find me using a O and not a 0. Nice.
I think he missed another one. Oh, so two super chats actually. Another one says, working on beehives. Thanks for the laughs, Oily.
Oh, nice. Nice, yeah. Go ahead and call me Oily.
Yep.
So our next question here is from Xavier Ray, and Glenn says, how do we figure out our demographic and target audience for people who want to watch a long-distance relationship in a vlog format? Are there any tools to figure this out? Thank you in advance.
Long distance relationship.
So,
I
the
guess
content is long distance relationships, and basically, I'm guessing maybe one person does it on one end, and the other person does it on that end, or maybe they do it when they meet up. I'm not sure, but they're trying to figure out who their target audience is for that type of content.
Okay. So one of the first things I'm going to teach you is how to make an educated guess.
Okay.
So you're not going to know this. The only way you can know this for sure is once you put those videos out and you start to attract an audience, you look at the people and you start seeing a trend. That's good. Another way you can try to figure this out is by going to, if there's any other channels like this, is going to those channels, checking out that content, and see, like, look through their comments. You can mine other people's channels for comments, and there might be something amazing that you find out about the audience or what they want that the creator is not engaging on, right? So go through and then try to get a gist of, is it male or female? You know, my thought is, because it's a long distance relationship, this is something that anybody really, like men, women, people of all genders go through, right? Like, you can have anybody in a long distance relationship and everybody's going through the same pain and the same struggles, right? So I would think that your audience demographic is going to be split and it's going to be dating age. Okay. So let's make that assumption first, that these are probably dating age people between, let's say, 16 to 25.
Okay.
Would probably, so mostly probably students. So that's who I would make this
Stupids?
for. Students.
I was like, boy, I wasn't going to say it was stupid, but you're putting it out there.
Need to enunciate.
Video number one, is he cheating? 5 ways to find out if your partner's cheating on the other side of the world. Right?
That's great.
Yeah. So another thing too, like when it comes to that is also, you know, when you are, you know, coming up with the idea for the channel and you guys are deciding that, you can also decide some of those things up front. So like, for example, if you are trying to share your experience with other people that are having long distance relationships and you're trying to give them, you know, tips on, you know, things that you guys are doing to have a good relationship, then, you know, you would know that that's who you're trying to reach. So then therefore the content that you're putting out, every single video would be something that would help, you know, that particular, you know, audience. In addition to that, if you're like, okay, we are trying to, you know, share our cultural differences. If you live in different parts of the world with people, then in that particular case, then, you know, maybe you would go for, you know, people that are, you know, traveling a little bit who, you know, might end up in one of those, you know, types of relationships. And then in that case, you know, you would make the content appropriate for that. So some of that you can decide up front, but like if you're already in motion, then, you know, just looking into what's already going on and saying like, you know, who's responding to this, you know, now. But keep in mind, you can still now, you can say, okay, this is where we're at now. But, you know, moving into the future, this is who we want to reach. Because another thing that's really important to always remember when you're on YouTube is the people that are watching your content may or may not be the people that you're actually trying to target with your content. So because of that, you know, you can always make that, you know, change at any time to where you're like, you know what, we actually want to fine tune this a little bit. And these are the very specific people that we're trying to reach with this content. And because of that, we're going to make sure that, you know, all of our videos would be a value of some kind to the people that are in, you know, a similar situation as we are. So you can also, you know, kind of make that change at any time as well.
Yeah, I was going to say in terms of like, I don't know if calling it vlogging, long distance relationship, I would think of something like that as just like documenting. Like if I'm watching, like if I'm in a long distance relationship and I'm wanting to make YouTube videos, I'm thinking like this would be a perfect thing to document because everyone in long distance relationships, well, most people are going to go through the exact same things. And I would guarantee there's going to be tons of people turning to YouTube going like, you know, I'm in this long distance relationship. You know, what's going on? Are they cheating? How do we keep it alive? How do we trust each other? There's just so many questions to answer. So I would think less vlog and more documenting and how to help other couples get through long distance relationships.
Well,
That's how I would approach it.
A good vlog, it usually involves storytelling.
Yeah.
It may not be as just complete random.
Right.
It's not like just like a documentary where it's just
Right.
randomly catching people. It's looking at what's real, figuring out what the story is, and then figuring out how to illustrate the story into your video.
Yeah.
You know, what beats do we need to hit to communicate what's happening? Reality TV is a great example of this.
Yeah.
They pick up on the
Knock
story
it
right
out
away.
of the park on that one. Yeah.
Awesome.
And really quick, I just typed into YouTube search just to get an idea of what people might be thinking about when they're thinking about long-term relationship content on YouTube. And I just put in long distance. I didn't continue out with relationship. But at the very top of the list is, of course, long distance relationship. But the third one down is long distance relationship tips. Right. So other things that lead to the story side that Jesse was talking about is like long distance relationship meeting for the first time, long distance relationship surprise. And that would be where, you know, the person is just like showing up and surprising the person.
Jumping out of a cake.
Jumping out of a cake. Yeah, whatever. Yeah. And then, you know, long distance relationship advice, you know, and then another one down here for long distance relationship meeting. So, you know, when you are, you know, deciding like, okay, these are the people that we're trying to reach, you know, with this content, you know, if you want to think about how, you know, your target audience is thinking about content on YouTube and how they're actually looking for the type of content that you make. You know, just going up to YouTube search and starting to type in the core of what it is that you make is a great way to really just kind of uncover the way that people are thinking about your content. And of course, if you wanted to try to get, you know, search traffic from that, you could. But the whole idea of that particular technique is to just get an understanding of like what, you know, how people are thinking.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Because, you know, if you're like, hey, this is the type of content that these types of people want. So then the next logical step is to make that content and give it to them.
Yeah, no.
Right? So you can, you know, so you can put yourself
that
on the
list
map.
was fantastic. Okay, one thing about my SEO research that I sort of discovered is as you're doing this SEO research, a lot of people are looking at that and like, oh, these are keywords. This is what I need to use in my SEO. Right. I'm like, no, this is what people want.
Yeah.
Right.
It's how
these
they
are
think about it.
desires.
Right. It's how they think
These
about
are broader ideas.
Right.
They aren't just keywords. It's what people
What they're looking
for,
yeah,
what they want.
What they're thinking, how they're looking. Yeah.
You could go through that list, and every one of those could be like a playlist on that channel.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you know, asking the questions of how would you approach this, I would approach it by looking at the top channels in the niche and seeing how they're approaching it because they've obviously stumbled across what that target audience wants. So if you're trying to reach the same target audience, look at the people who are dominating in your niche and see what look at the thumbnail design, look at their titles, look at how they're structuring the videos, look at the topics, look at the overall concept of how they're putting everything together because it's working for them.
You know, I put out a lot of videos to get data, but the truth be is that you don't have to. I mean, those videos have already been put out.
Yeah.
There's already data out there.
Yeah.
You can just spend an extra couple weeks watching and collecting data on videos. What works, what doesn't. What does this channel do? What's popping? I mean, you want to, you know, keep track of what's more current, right?
Right.
Not like, who are the Super Bowl winners from 3 years ago?
Right. You can go to anyone's channel and see the ones where they hit a home run and the ones where they missed.
Yep.
Everybody has, you know, videos where they swung and they missed and they knocked some out of the park and start taking notes. Okay, why was that knocked out of the park? And then start looking for patterns. We can reverse engineer a lot of this stuff, and it's still up to you though. After you reverse engineer it, you still. Oh man.
And by patterns, yeah, that was close.
That was so close.
Yeah.
If there would have been liquid in that, the stream would have been over.
And by patterns,
And
by patterns, what he means there is actually looking for patterns like across channels, right? Because like if you're just looking at one channel, you know, from the outside, because you don't have stats access, so there's only so much you can, you know, pull from that. But if you start looking across, you know, all those different relationship channels, and you're like, you know, hey, it looks like every time they make videos about these things across the different channels, people seem to respond to them better. That's what he means. I think that's what you meant.
No, that's exactly what what I mean.
Yeah.
But
I just wanted
you
to add that clarity real quick.
still have to make your thumbnail that's going to stop someone from scrolling to get clicked. You still have to have your topic, your title that's going to make sense. You still have to make your video that's going to not make them click away in the first 10 seconds and keep them watching. So you still got to do the work on your end, but to reverse engineer what's working for your target audience, I think that's fairly easy to do. You just got to put in the time to do it.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So our next question here is from JP Hill Bus Stop Profit. The channel or the question here is, what do you do to try to build a professional rock band channel? Not much specific though out there on our topic. We technically have 2 for one band, 1 for lead singer, and a solo project. So you have 2 for the band, 1 channel for the lead singer, and 1 solo project, if I'm understanding that correctly. So when it comes to that, first, your music has to be shareable. Like, people have to just love what it is that you do so much that if Jesse watches your video, that he's going to send me a message and go like, oh, dude, this song is just incredible. Check this out. That's step 1.
I've got a tip right out of the gate. If you've got a music channel and you're actually making original music and you're not getting traction, one of the first things I would try.
Short form.
I would get on short form content, and on that short form content, I would do your version. Like, say you've got a rock band, I would do rock versions of popular songs that were not rock. I would, or like if you've got, if Taylor Swift comes out with I always use Taylor Swift. I just realized that. And I don't even listen to her.
Hey, if you're a fan, you're a fan, man. Nothing wrong with that.
I always just try to think of someone who's got like a large international appeal.
Rihanna actually just she just outpaced Taylor Smith for the richest self-made female artist.
I didn't know that.
Yep, just
now
happened.
I do.
Yep,
well, they take
happened.
Blackpink, for example, like a rock version of like the latest Blackpink song, because it's trending. People are looking for Blackpink. People are looking for this particular song, and here you are with a rock version of it that's like 30 seconds long or a minute long.
Yeah, you can start on Google Trends for that and see which song. Because every time I go on Google Trends, it's always major social media stuff, like major bands, major groups, major movies and sports teams, stuff like that. So and I think I have seen a couple bands. Now remember, you're on a social media entertainment platform. This is not a record label. You have a lot more at your disposal, a lot more tools than those guys have passed it. So don't treat it like this is just my way to distribute my content, because you have so many more things you could do. Remember, this is also like a PR opportunity where you can do good things, you can do crazy things, So I feel like the bands that are killing it right now have figured out social media. Like, they know how to work it, they know how to create content, they know how to engage the camera and the audience. And they're making other content that is not music and entertaining people until the people care about them enough to wonder, okay, let me hear this new song that you've put out. Let me tell you a little story that maybe helps illustrate this. So if you've been here since the beginning of the live stream, thank you. You're awesome.
Indeed.
But I was telling stories about how we first started out. Shoot, I just lost my train of thought.
That's all right. So you were talking about the rock band.
Welcome to the Nimminati.
Yep.
Yes. Yeah. So
it happened. There's so much glue.
That could be that. Yeah. So while he's thinking, of that, basically what you want to think about is, like, as we're saying some of that, you might be thinking to yourself like, hey, we're a rock band. We're trying to get our music out there, not, just make other people's stuff as like a cover band. The whole logic with that is you basically leverage, what's popular already to bring attention to what you're doing that's original. So you don't make every video like that. You just make some videos like that when something's trending for the sake of being able to tap into that attention. And then from there, that's your avenue to bring people in so that you can introduce them to your original music. And also, like, when it comes to, getting music out there, I would also, when it comes to short form content, I would be putting it on YouTube Shorts. All of them. I would be putting it on TikTok. I'd be putting it on Instagram. I'd put it everywhere. And the reason for that is because, some, like, the TikTok audience might love you. The Instagram audience might think your stuff is, not that great. Your YouTube audience could love you, right? So making sure that you're just giving yourself that opportunity to, get in front of as many people as possible, because every person that samples your music or experiences what it is that you have, they're making that call. And really, with what it is that you're doing, it's a numbers game. So so I would make sure that you're getting your stuff out there all over the place.
I remembered.
All right, here it is. Yep, here it is.
I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry.
No, that's all right.
Okay, so in the beginning, remember when I said that we started with 14 show segments and we ended up cutting out 7?
Yes.
One of the 7 that I cut out was family vlogs.
Okay.
Nobody knew us. Nobody cared about us. Nobody wanted to know more about us. So we're just like, I don't care about this little kid. I don't know this kid. Right?
That's my thought towards every little kid. That's another stream.
So I'm thinking rock bands might be the same way. Nobody cares about you. Yeah. Nobody cares about your music. I mean, maybe a couple people get into it, but they just don't care. That's the problem, is they don't care enough to be interested, right? I dropped vlogs. It didn't perform. It didn't work. However, fast forward to 2 or 3 years, vlogs have some of my highest retention on my channel now. Now people care. I've entertained
because you built
people.
That audience first.
I built that audience, and now I have an audience of people that care. Like, so if I put out a music, and actually we did put out a song, like people will listen to it now, right? I think our last single my daughter put out did, several 100,000. It wasn't
nice.
The breakout that I was hoping for, but that never would have happened years ago. You know what I mean? So, putting in that time, building that audience, entertaining them in other ways will help them get into your music.
Yeah, I want to say, because I was a professional musician for many years, and I totally understand that need as a musician you want to put out your original art. Like, we want people to hear our music. And like Nick was saying, yes, I get that.
I had to make a stupid coffee song and put it in my YouTube channel in order to let people hear what I make.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the avenue. Yeah.
Right. But like the days of, like, everything's changed.
It's fire,
right?
actually.
The way
you should hear
people
it.
consume content, the way people consume news, the way people consume music, everything has changed. So in the idea of like, well, we only want to do original music, that's great, and you can do that, but you're going to have a much rougher road ahead of you unless you can end up going on the road with somebody who can, add a spotlight on you or something like that. Unless you can bring attention to you otherwise off of YouTube that you can then funnel into YouTube, you're going to have to use social media to get attention, like you're talking about. However, you need to get that attention. Once you have their attention, they're going to care a lot more about your original music than if you had no attention. Like you said, like, nobody cared about your blogs until you built that fan base.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, everybody cares about your blogs, right? Vlogs. So the same thing with music. Like, when you're starting out, nobody cares about you. But once you build that online fan base, then people are going to go, wait a minute, you've got original music. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Right?
And
they'll
at
like
least,
that.
they'll
They
at least
like you then.
give you the time to listen to your song.
Exactly. Yeah. There's a YouTuber. His name is Eldre. I think he's at 370,000 subscribers right now. And he blew up both on YouTube and on Spotify by taking classical music and turning them into lo-fi beats. Here's classical songs. I'm going to make a lo-fi version. And he blew up. And then he used that momentum to then release his own music. And then through his YouTube channel, now he sells like sample packs and stuff. So he's taken that momentum from redoing classical music into lo-fi music to catapult his own music career, and he's killing it on all fronts because of it.
Wow.
So yeah,
Gotta be creative.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got to rethink.
It's competitive,
what's
it's competitive, just like it always has been, but just in a different way. Yeah. So the next question that we have here is from Circle H Scuba. It says, my latest videos start at 10% CTR and then big impression push and then a crash as low as 0.2 CTR in some traffic sources. I assume YouTube is testing new audiences. How do I help the algorithm find my avatar? So it's not necessarily that you have to help the algorithm. I mean, there is stuff you can do there, but it's not necessarily that. It's more important, or the way that you should be thinking of it is, if YouTube shows my content to the people that I am trying to reach, then how can I help those people as quickly and easily as possible understand that my content is about something that they care about? So for example, like, what is it exactly that you're putting in your thumbnail? Since you're on scuba stuff, hopefully you have some type of very clear scuba imagery in your thumbnail, and you're not obstructing that imagery with anything else, so that people that are into scuba, if they're watching a bunch of scuba content, if YouTube recommends your videos next to other videos that do have that scuba imagery, yours at least will be in there as well as something that might grab their attention. In addition to that, in terms of what you can do for YouTube YouTube specifically. So if you go to my Twitter account, I actually shared some screenshots directly out of, if you go to youtube.com/creators, they have an entire training area in there to where they share all kinds of information about how to grow your channel, how to make money from it, and all this stuff. I shared a couple of screenshots out of there and out of the Google help pages. And some of the things that they mention in both of those places is that when you take keywords, and don't think of this from an SEO perspective, think of it from you're helping the system have context. But what it says out of their documentation is that you want to pick a keyword and your keyword or keyword phrase, but they say keyword, and you want to make sure that you have that somewhere in your title and somewhere in your description. And at the time of publish, that helps the system better understand, who the right people are to see it. When it comes to the content that you're publishing, of course, the system's smart enough to where you have captions in there. They're watching every, frame of the video and all of that as well. But those things also add additional clarity to, your content when you publish it, which also helps make sure that, it goes in front of the people that are most likely to enjoy it when you publish it. So because of that, just make sure that you are, practicing that because that can, make a difference when it comes to YouTube. But the most important thing, though, is to make sure that you're not just optimizing for, the computer or, their robot or however you want to, define it, but that you're always thinking, first, that you're always thinking, okay, if my ideal person were to log onto YouTube right now, what about this thumbnail and title combination would, one, help them identify this content is about something they care about? Two, what about this would compel them to actually click on it and come in and enjoy the content? And if you can't define those things, then keep working on it until you can. Because if you can't define them, then obviously it's going to be hard for, the people you're trying to reach to instantly recognize that. So you want to make sure that you do, go through that process. Anything to add to that?
So the first thing that comes to mind if I when I hear a situation like that is I would love to see the stats of subscribers, views from subscribers versus not subscribers. Like what's the percentage there? And my feeling is that the subscriber percentage is really high and the outsiders is really low. It sounds,
which is causing the initial click-through rate peak. Yeah.
Right. It's going out to the subscribers first. That's his home base. Right. And so, yeah, they're like, oh, my favorite guy, YouTuber, just put out another video. I'm going to watch it. So he's getting that loyalty bonus to the CTR, right?
Loyalty bonus.
And it's a real thing.
Yeah.
It's a real thing.
Yeah.
Is, people know and they see you and they recognize you or like identify you at some point, they're going to click, even if the idea or the content it doesn't seem very interesting. So I'm thinking you're getting to something like that. But I think you need to seriously engineer your CTR. If it's lower than 1% when it goes out to a larger audience, I feel like you're dropping the ball somewhere. And it probably needs to be re-engineered, maybe through split testing, like with TubeBuddy or something else.
You obviously have a threshold, right? So you have, you got a threshold for your views, right? You want it to get above a certain threshold. Where have you found your threshold to be in regards of click-through rate versus like the amount of views that are coming in? To where you're like, okay, we need to change the thumbnail. Like at what point are you like, okay, this thumbnail is not working?
When I see a video, and I will be very honest, I do not go back and optimize or once a video is out, it's like it's out of my mind usually. But however, there have been some times where a video comes out and I see that the retention is really high.
Okay.
So I'm thinking,
what's really high for your niche? Ballpark.
Average is probably like, 35 to 40% for kids content.
For kids content.
For years it was like that.
Okay.
So let's say the retention's like 55%. I'm like,
Okay.
whoa. Okay, people are really watching that. The retention graph shows that they're hanging on, they're watching till the end. So I'm thinking like, okay, I have made solid content, right? But then people aren't clicking on it. So that would cause me to either ask, is my content idea poor? Mm-hmm. Is it just not appealing to many people? Does it not have broad reach? Or am I dropping the ball with titles and thumbnails? Now, obviously, you can't fix your content idea after you've already made the video, but you can fix the thumbnail and the title. So those things are absolutely engineerable, right? You come up with several different thumbnails, you try them, you split test them, and then you see which one works. You can revive a dead video. If it's got good retention and people are really enjoying it, everything else is good, but the thumbnail and the title, you can engineer that thing back to life. I had this one video where it was like me in a Spider-Man suit, my wife dressed up as a burglar, and I'm like chasing around. And I thought it was like a really fun video, and the retention was good, but the CTR was low and the performance was horrible. And I'm like, something's off. You know, my gut tells me something's off. So I went back and re-engineered, and I made I used every photo I had that I had taken during the shoot, which was all posed. Right. And I kept putting them all out, and just nothing was working. And finally I just grabbed a random screen grab from the video with me holding a stick, and the video just blew up. Millions of views.
That's crazy.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes
maybe I
YouTube
should do
picks
that
the
for
right
everything.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So
It's crazy.
But it just goes to show that sometimes the content is good and that people are enjoying it, but maybe you didn't pitch it right.
So
Packaging was wrong.
Right.
I have a thumbnail, completely different scenario because I don't get the view counts that you get, but I had one of these live streams that we did. So I was uploading the thumbnail for it. There was a glitch, and during that glitch, it's basically made it to where that thumbnail. I actually need to go check it and see if it's fixed, but that particular thumbnail could not be changed. Yeah. So what happened is when I was uploading it, it just turned it white. That was it. I just had this white thumbnail, and it still ended up performing okay for for this type of content. Yeah, it was really funny. So similar situation where it was it wasn't even a thumbnail. It's just a big white panel. Yeah, and people still people still responded to it.
Yeah,
right. They're like, hey, I wonder what this is. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, real quick, just on a personal note, I've never given it too much thought on how difficult it must be to hold a child's attention when watching a video.
Oh my gosh.
Right? That's something you don't think about if you're not in the niche, right? Because it's I know as an adult, that's one series of things you got to figure out, but as a child.
Ooh, yeah.
That's a whole other,
Yeah, wow. The editing has got to be snappy, lots of sound effects, lots of bump, 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 it's tough.
So, editing question here: did you take because you're in Thailand? You're servicing. Well, when you started, you were servicing small children in Thailand, small Thai children. Did you look to what's popular, on television, for children's shows, in order to give you ideas of the cadence of editing and the speed and the sound effects? Yeah.
Okay. So Thailand.
How many doinks per video do you have?
Yeah.
Too many. Yeah. It was so many that when I was editing the content, I knew. And let me just say that you have never heard sound effects until you've watched Thai children's content, because they don't even make sense. It was boing, ching, wong, nothing's happening.
They do that in some adult content too.
Oh yeah, they do it all over. They love crazy sound effects, and it drives Westerners nuts.
Yeah.
But so I had to add a lot of that. But to be honest, our Thai editors did a much better job than I did.
Okay, there you go. Right. So there was a cultural thing there where the Thai editors picked up on the nuance of what made it attractive culturally to Thai people.
Right.
See, I find that fascinating, right? The cultural differences of things like video editing.
It is.
Or maybe even thumbnail design or color choices or how you organize things on the thumbnail.
Right.
Yeah, just culturally, the cultural differences. I find that fascinating.
So Magic Prepper says, if you know you need to upgrade or pivot your content but don't have the capability yet, like equipment or a team, what can you do in the meantime to avoid stagnation?
I mean, you do the best you can. You try to upload maybe the old type of content until you can buy time. That's a kind of strategic, very situational question, I guess. But, you do what you can with what you have. And if you're lacking in something, it's okay to ask other people. It's okay to team up with others. I mean, there's some people out there that are fantastic on camera, but they don't know how to work anything technical. And
kind of like D setting up a live stream.
Full disclosure. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I am super creative, out of the box thinker, funny on camera, very good sense of humor, terrible at organization.
And humble.
Very humble. Very humble.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I was getting to the part where I'm not good at, right? I'm terrible at organization. I have such a hard time focusing on today's task and what we need to do and push the ball out.
We might be brothers. He was adopted. You and I might have the same blood.
Yeah, you can tell by the beard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, for me, I got to team up with somebody that's organized. I'm creative. I need an organized person. That's how I work. And I realized that as like an entrepreneur for years, I got to be paired up with somebody that's organized. So like you might be only half of the equation as a YouTuber, and you might need to team up with somebody that completes the other side of the coin, that has that skill that you're lacking. And I think there's too many YouTubers that don't, I get maybe they're afraid to ask or afraid to bother somebody, but man, YouTube is so much more fun when you're working with people.
It is. It is. Yeah. So the next question that we have here is from Jerry Popandre. He says, how would you design a thumbnail for a food/restaurant reaction channel?
Okay. This one's actually pretty straightforward. So
screen recording in Photoshop? No, I'm just kidding.
So obviously, you got to have, it's a reaction channel, right? So you have to have a reaction, not just, that's pretty good. It's either, wow, this is amazing, or like, I'm not sure, is this good or not? So I think part of the facial expression has to depend on, the question or the statement that's included in the title. Like, is this, black squid ink burger bun worth the money? I don't know. Like, we're asking a question, so therefore a puzzled look is appropriate. Is this the most delicious burger on the East Coast? Licking lips, it looks amazing. So obviously food photography has to be on point.
He's actually on the East Coast. It's funny that you said that. Yeah, he's in New York, I believe. Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, like if you're on a food channel, you better know how to work a camera. You better know how to get your lighting correct on the food.
Yeah.
You got to make it look amazing. Yeah. And I have done a little bit of food content.
Fierce. In food, in terms of like, like what things look like. Yeah. And like, if you're trying to, get a response of something that, that foodies are into, then you're like just making sure that you're, spending a lot of time on the actual photo itself.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. You definitely that's got to be on point, for sure. But I think it's doable. Make sure your expression's really good. Take a lot of different photos of your face. Some like you actually reuse.
Oh yeah, all the time.
Your faces all the time.
So basically, what I've done over time is I have like all these different thumbnails that I went through all these different faces, and I will just kind of track what it is that people respond to. And if I like try something and like it's like, oh yeah, this just does bad like every time I use it, then in that case I'll swap it out or I'll just kill it and I won't use it anymore. And if I pick something that's like, yeah, people seem to like this particular one doesn't seem to have like a huge impact one way or the other, then in that case I'll probably use that one a lot. Or if it's like, okay, yeah, people typically respond to this one better, then I'll use that one a lot. So it's just kind of weeding them out over time. And then sometimes something will work for a while and then people just won't respond to it as much, and then I'll swap it out.
Yeah, that's weird how that happens.
Yeah,
like, man, this particular thing worked really well for a period of time, and now it's just like crickets.
Yeah,
thumbnails do go in and out of fashion, just like clothes.
Yeah.
There's certain style of thumbnails. Like if too many people do weird face reaction things and the audience is burnt out on it, then sometimes they'll just click off of it. So I would watch other food channels, see what kind of thumbnails are appealing to you and what has a lot of views, and maybe get some ideas. But try to focus on the last 6 months, 6 months to a year tops, and kind of see what seems to be working for them.
And just to put a little focus on what he just mentioned there, like when he says focus on the last 6 months, the reason for that is
thumbnails go out of fashion.
Yeah.
Oh, so like when I first started my channel, I was lucky in the fact that I could just crop whatever it was out and throw in a solid color background, which is like the laziest, easiest thing you could do. Green is the background, right? And it worked. But all of a sudden, it stopped working. It was like, it's out, it's done. So then I had to like start photoshopping sky and stuff like that in the background. And then that worked much better. So like it did get to the point where it just doesn't work anymore. So yeah. And I mean, and anytime you're doing research, competitive research, I do think you always need to consider the time frame of what it is that you're seeing. Because when I've started out, of course, you just start out, you're making a brand new channel, and then you've got like 6 to 10 years of old videos, and you're copying stuff that was, in trend 8 years ago, right? And you think, oh yeah, this video is going to kill it. No. You know, try to observe stuff that's working now or within the last couple months.
I know that I'm in the minority when I say this, but I'm so burned out on, I call it the Mr. Beastification of YouTube thumbnails. Like when I see a thumbnail with that pointing finger and the big mouth and all, and I've used those before on my thumbnails as well, but where I'm at now, just in terms of we're talking about how people's interest in thumbnail design change. Now when I see that on a YouTube thumbnail, like I'm almost guaranteed going to swipe by it. Just because I'm so tired of seeing that. And I'm tired of seeing the things where it's like, do this, click here, edit this, edit here. Don't, you know, I'm talking like a red arrow, like edit here, do this. I blame Leela for YouTube for that one. I think she started that trend.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm just so burned out on it. So I don't respond to those anymore.
Like on a personal level, I respect that. Everybody's got their personal taste, their little pet peeves. That's the thing. But really, as a creator, what we need to be testing is scale.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you could have a friend say, I hate this one thing.
Right.
Okay, I listen to that. That's a good point of data. But I have to make an educated decision at scale.
Right. Well, that's why I said I know I'm in the minority. Right, like I know, obviously that stuff works.
I've heard the same thing, especially on Reddit. Like I'm so sick of these thumbnails.
Yeah.
But those videos obviously work. Yeah,
Mr. Beast is killing it. A lot of the channels that are using those same strategies are absolutely killing it. So it works.
But yeah, I mean, it's like people ask, like, why do they keep making these thumbnails with a big open mouth? Because it's a human that shows emotional expression about something and makes you interested. I mean, it works at a very fundamental level. Now, if everybody gets to the same point where they're like, I'm sick of this.
Yeah. Then we'll see
then
a
it
shift.
changes.
Then a new design. Yeah, then we're going to see something new. Yeah.
Tom Nash in the house. What's up, dude? Hope you're doing awesome. Tom says, love to see both the Nimmin brothers in the OG studio. Yeah, we love streaming together. So, like, pumped to be back in here. We've done the last handful of them in here.
Andrew Can in the house, to be
too. Back. Andrew Can, what's up, dude? Hope you're doing awesome. Nice to see you in here also. So, really quick, IMMS Gaming, thank you for the super sticker. Super appreciate it there. So the next question that we have here, let's see here, we did Jerry. What's the best way for someone to research and come up with video topic ideas, in your opinion?
Great.
There's many ways to do this. Okay, so when I'm researching topic ideas, and maybe I'll get your opinion on this, Nick, because we could use a couple different methods. Mm-hmm. One, I will start watching other people's content, like new stuff that just came out, to try to get maybe a vibe of any sort of trend or thing that's popping that like I need to know about. So that's one way. You know, if all of a sudden there's a new thing that happened, like the Milo cubes or whatever, and you could pick up on it, and you can be one of the first videos. Like my video was like video number 5 on YouTube on the topic. Then you got a lot of views. Even if you're a tiny channel and you can be fast and early, you can still get a lion's share of the views with your video. So, you know, timing is important. You can also use tools like TubeBuddy to do research. Again, when you're using like the keyword, is it keyword planner, right? Yeah, it's a keyword planner.
Keyword Explorer.
Sorry, Keyword Explorer. When you're using Keyword Explorer, sometimes opportunities will pop up, and then sometimes you'll hop on to keywords that you didn't know existed. Like one time I bumped into mini arcade game. Like, what the heck is that? And it was like literally like a little mini Pac-Man arcade game machine, and nobody had done a video on it. I was like, oh, well, that's a cool idea. And I found that through, using Keyword Explorer and just looking up stuff. So we bought one, we tested it out, and it worked great. So that was a good, idea that came from keyword research.
Yeah. In addition to that, I think also, just like going into your community, we all have the community tab. I actually just recently posted a community post where I said, hey, I'm getting ready to do my, subscriber Q&A series. So because of that, I'm getting ready to restart my subscriber Q&A series. So because of that, if there's anything that you want to know about YouTube, post it here. And by doing that, it kind of lets me know like the things that people, are really wanting to know like right now. So like in your particular case, you could do the same since you're talking about tech. You can lead people into choices, or you can just leave it wide open. So leading people into choices is creating a poll of some kind and saying like, hey, would you prefer I do a playlist on, phones? Would you prefer I do a playlist on new TVs? Or would you prefer I do a playlist on, whatever the third thing would be? That would be kind of leading people into an answer based on the things that you need to or want to create. And then from there, you could also, just leave something open to where you say, what videos, if you've been watching my content for any amount of time, what videos do you think I'm missing, or what tech do you think I'm missing that I should, start making content about on my channel? And, the people that are interacting with your content, they'll come in and let you know because, they want to see that type of content from you. So I think using the community feed is a great way to do that.
Yeah. Community is a great source.
It is. And also you can go into your own comment section and look for, questions that people have asked or different products that people have asked about there. Comments actually have a search feature on YouTube, so you can even go in and look for things. In addition to that, you can also look at the comment sections of all of the people that make content like yours and see if anybody, is asking for very specific things there that, are a little bit underserved in the type of content that you make.
I want to add on to that because I was thinking another one. Mining your own content is another type of research. You don't have to always research competitors. A lot of times I like to just go back and do like a quick history on the last maybe 6 months, because this is representing right now my exact audience. What did they like? Because sometimes a video will pop late and I didn't notice it. Right? Like all of a sudden I'm like, oh shoot, like this video did really good. Oh, that's cool. Like, so maybe I'll do a part 2 on that. So maybe you decide that, or sometimes I'll do what I term hybrid content. Okay. Like let's say you're a tech channel, right? And you notice that there's a good trend. People like videos about Windows. Let's just say something like that. And then there's a video on phones that have done pretty well in the past. You're like, maybe I can combine those two themes, how to interface your phone with Windows, right? Like, so all of a sudden take 2 different topics that did well and see if there's a synergy in the middle that you can create. And sometimes I've been able to build content topic ideas off of that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And another thing too is if you do something very specific, like in your case, because you talk about tech, if you follow like industry websites and things like that, a lot of those will also have like engagement metrics that you can see publicly and, those sorts of things. So you can also kind of follow those. And if you notice like, hey, these particular things across these different sites are getting a lot of activity on, this particular piece of tech or this opinion that these people are having on the tech or whatever, then, making content based on that is also something that you can do because it just shows that particular thing that they're talking about is something that is causing people to react in some way.
And if you're a tech channel, I would be on every tech news site.
Yeah,
I would be knowing what comes out, and then I'd also be double checking and verifying tech trends against Google Trends to see what's popping, because I mean really like tech comes in and out. Like tech gets old real fast.
Yeah.
So your speed is going to be, your best friend in this industry. But like trying to figure out what people have an appetite for right now is the game. Like right now is
Define right now, 28 days, 60 days, or 90 days.
Right now.
As soon as humanly possible. Like WWDC comes out, right?
Right.
There's new Apple products. What is everybody talking about?
Right.
Now you're going to be competing with news sites, but
and if you're new, you're going to be competing with established creators and stuff like that. But you can that's traffic you can tap into.
But you can also spin it, right? Like okay, so let's say there's a new Apple product coming out and everybody's talking about it. Okay, how can you, the small creator, provide a different perspective on this tech trend that everybody's talking about? Why the new Apple iPhone 15 is a game changer or will change your life or will do something, crazy, a little bit sensational, right? And
why it's the worst thing that you could ever possibly
it's the worst
get.
thing ever, right? Like it's not just news reporting the iPhone is coming out. It's oh my God, this is an amazing thing. This is going to change so much, blah, blah, blah. Like you're trying to put like a human emotion and opinion in with this tech trend.
I love channels that cover product. It could be tech or it could be blenders. It doesn't matter. They'll make videos of like 5 amazing things about this thing. And like the next videos will be like 5 things I hate about this thing.
Yep.
And they link them together.
Yeah.
Right? They make like a strategy to get people, okay, you watch this one video where, oh, these are all the positive things. Oh, they've got to think about all the negative things. I want to watch that too.
You can also piggyback on other people by doing that same thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like, hey, this, content creator that I see popping up in my other channels, my audience watches, area inside of your YouTube channel, inside of your, back end of your channel.
Right.
Like, you see them make a video about, why something's amazing, then leaning on what Dee just mentioned, then it's like, okay, well, this is why it's not amazing.
Right.
And then, by doing that, then you're creating something that's contrasting to, that video. And if YouTube shows you there, and if people respond to, to you making a video like that, then in that case, there's a good chance that you can get connected to that video as well.
Yeah, Andrew Can, 5 good things, 5 bad things, five ways to use it right now. 5 things that make it better than the previous version. There's so many different ways you can attack when it comes to products, be it tech products or blenders or whatever.
Rather than just
comparison.
This new product is coming out.
It's literally endless. You just have to sit down and think it out. What would the actual viewer be interested in if they're going to watch that video about a product?
So our next question is from Jesse Taylor. They say, content creators with ADD and ADHD or an inability to focus, how do you meet your upload schedule? I've been struggling with consistency. So my recommendation on that is build some type of system that kind of helps you get out of the way. Yeah. So of course you're going to have to do something, but building some type of system to where you can do like parts of it when you are able to focus on it. That's one thing. But another thing is also making sure that you are prioritizing the things that you want to do, because like, for example, even though, you have ADHD, like when you go to work, you still do the job that you need to do there. So because of that, you look at that as like a higher priority and you make sure to, do what it is that you need to do there so that you don't lose your job. Right. So when it comes to, there's consequence. So when it comes to, what it is that you want to do, making sure that you are prioritizing that and making it as important as you are when you are doing something for someone else, that can also, help in that particular situation, because then it becomes so important that you make sure that like, hey, I am able to focus on this for, let's say 15 minutes. You make sure that that's what you're focusing on for, that 15 minutes, at a time or whatever. So, if it becomes important enough, then you'll make sure it gets done. But if it is not on that of utmost importance list, then in that particular case, it's definitely going to fall through the cracks sometimes.
I can tackle this. One, I would say, I know a lot of people take medication for focusing issues, which I don't, because we can't get that here. But I would.
You can just not.
I've tried it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's. I think it's Ritalin.
Yeah, you can get Ritalin here. You can also get Concerta here also.
Concerta.
Yep.
So Jesse, I don't know about you, but like mine, because you're very creative.
I'm probably ADD.
Yeah,
I've never been diagnosed.
The best way I can explain.
I used to have to take medication as a kid.
The best way I can explain my brain in terms of like creativity is it's like a hurricane. It's like a hurricane of just endless. It's chaos in my head in terms of like just like ideas and I just want to make stuff all the time, but I struggle to harness those ideas to actually get it in.
Practical day to day.
Right. It's just like it's like the Wizard of Oz scene where all this stuff's like circling around, and it's difficult to grab those things and actually make them tangible and turn them into something. What helps me, not in terms of like if I'm burned out, that's something different, but in terms of like being productive with all these things going around, is I have to and we talk about this quite a bit. I have to eliminate every possible obstacle that will get in my way to stop me from doing something. So if that means if I have to buy 2 of things, if you look around this studio, we have almost 2 of everything. We have everything set up. My place at home, like I'll spend the extra money to buy additional things so I don't have to set something up ever. Like I have to put it there, I have to leave it set up, I have to leave it plugged in, I have to have nothing in my way so when that hits, or whatever it is. Maybe I want to make a cosplay thing. I got to be able to go over there and grab my tools immediately and get to work.
You're reducing friction.
I have to reduce the friction. If I don't do that,
That's a good way to put that.
Even if I grab the thing, I can't do it. If there's anything that gets in my way, I can't do it. So I have to remove all of that friction, or it doesn't get done.
You know, that kind of stuff, it's like, it's not going to go away. You can't just fix it, but you can learn to deal with it and live with it. I think for me, my hacks, well, one is I'm married to a woman who's awesome at day-to-day operations. So she keeps everything running like clockwork. I mean, she's really amazing. And I will help her out, but she's the one that makes sure everything stays exactly on schedule. So organization helps that out. You know, having accountability helps that out. So if you can add, if there's anybody you can add to the channel that can help add a bit of structure, that's great. Maybe you need to set alarms for yourself on your phone that pop up every Tuesday saying, get this clip edited and uploaded. But there has to be some level of accountability for you. Like your job, you're accountable, right? You know, if you don't show up, you're going to get fired. So you show up. So it's not like you can't do it. It's just you need extra push and reminder and structure in your life. And on top of that, another hack that you can do, this is for people that, you know, maybe you have this awesome creative burst of energy and you're just like, yeah, I'm in the mood today to just bang out 10 clips, right? And this is why I like batching so much. You get in the mood and you just do a whole lot of one thing at one time and you just knock a whole bunch of stuff out. You get them edited later, but here's a trick. Work really hard, maybe take a day off of work, and just get caught up on work. Work really hard, bank a bunch of episodes, and then schedule them out. And then you can forget about them and go about your life. And then you move on to other content. If you get ahead of the content schedule and you can schedule out in advance, it helps you maintain consistency because it's taking it off your plate, right? It's already scheduled. It's already set. The scheduler is your best friend.
Great tips.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah, and also, just because I have to put this in there too, also meditation can be helpful as well because it helps you be like aware of like when you are losing focus and when you are kind of going off, in your own brain. It helps you be more conscious of what's happening, in your brain in real time, which can also be really helpful. Guess what, Corgi Butt is our next question. Says, what would you suggest to a dog channel as far as what type of content to make? If you are making content trying to help people know something about dogs, then in that case, make content that, teaches them stuff or, educates them in some way about dogs. If you're just following a dog around town, and it's just there's nothing really happening in the video, but you're just kind of following the dog around, then in that case I recommend that you check out Jessica Hatch. She has a YouTube channel called Gone to the Snow Dogs. She is successful on every platform that she publishes on because she understands how to make content with animals. So go and study her and study everything that she does when it comes to how she puts content together, and just use that as inspiration for for how to move forward.
It's awesome. Like, was it McLean's Dogs? Is that who it is?
Yeah, but he actually teaches does dog training.
Oh, they're
content.
not dog training.
Yeah. So it's a different thing.
I think that with dog channels, and I know two very successful dog channels. One is actually more on Facebook, and obviously I know Jessica. I'm friends with her. I think the vlogs is probably my favorite way to go. I mean, you can do dog tips, like. Doing how-tos puts you in that search category, right?
And this is why it's important to know what you want. Like, what are you trying to do with your channel, right?
Yeah. If you're looking to build a community that's passionate about you, get them to fall in love with your dog like you're in love with your dog, right? Show them what you see. Show them how awesome your dog is, right? Let them feel like your dog is their dog. And if you do that, they will be loyal followers. They will follow you. They will go to meetups. They will do everything they do with Jessica Hatch because she's got it on lock. Watch her channel. Yeah. Do what she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make them love your dog like you love your dog. Yep. Man, that's great.
How can you attract more viewers as a YouTuber, gamer / content creator to grow your business? So the very first thing is if you are trying to grow your business, if it is, direct, like if your business is only generating revenue as YouTube ad revenue, then in that particular case, you got to get really good at being able to grab people's attention through your topics, titles, and thumbnails. And then when they come into your videos, give them a great experience with the videos themselves. Another thing is if you are going to be doing it for business, like Jesse, had mentioned earlier, you got to figure out a way that you can stand out, especially in a space like gaming, because there's so many people people that are uploading gaming content. Most people are doing it pretty low effort to where they're just like playing the game and then uploading the videos. Some people will level that up just a little bit by playing the game, and then they'll loosely edit the video together, and then they'll upload that. But, you know, the ones that stand out are the ones that are, you know, either exceptional when it comes to like their, you know, personalities and how they're able to connect to people through that, or their ability to entertain people, or their ability to play the game, or they're doing some type of gimmick, like, you know, trying to get from here to there without using, you know, any weapons, or trying to, you know, do this particular thing in a certain amount of time, or, you know, other, you know, handicaps around the game. Anything to add to that?
Yes.
For either of you guys?
Yeah, that was pretty much the more or less the question we got earlier,
Yeah.
which you summarized nicely. Another thing I see my son doing is mods. Or he watches a lot of gamer content, and they do a lot of mods. Now this is gonna be interesting because it actually allows the gaming creator, or sorry, the content creator who's doing the gaming thing, to add stuff to the game that wasn't there in the first place, and to create a narrative story about stuff, and like be able to like, oh, you know, I'm playing Grand Theft Auto, but my dude's a banana, right? All of a sudden,
Nice.
it's like, okay, now you've done something different. Now I haven't seen that, and now it's interesting, right? So, you know, mods are another good way to stand out. Some people use cartoons. I've seen editing, you know, as a way to just, you know, do something different. What was it like? I think it was like Ryan Toy Review came out with like the panda character that did gaming reviews, like a fully animated panda that just played games.
Oh, nice.
So like that was different, right? Like I've never seen that before. Yeah. So, you know, you really got to come up with some way to grab attention if you want to do the gaming thing.
Yeah. One thing too, also to think about is like everybody here, right? Like it doesn't matter how saturated something is. One thing to think about is that you are still in the early part. So, you know, even though YouTube is getting a lot more competitive, there's a lot more, you know, content creators and all that, it's going to keep getting worse.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's going to be a lot more people.
So-
like if you check into YouTube 3 years from now, there's going to be a lot more people doing the same exact thing that you're doing. So like if you're wanting to do it seriously, like now's the time to get serious and put in whatever effort you need to do to, you know, kind of secure your spot for a while. Because, you know, as we pass through time and as the barrier to entry in terms of video editing software, the camera optics on a computer, the lack of needed technical know-how in order to be able to do all this stuff, as everything, you know, becomes easier, then you're going to just see a humongous influx over the next few years of content creators. It's already happening
now
with AI content just being dumped onto the platform right now. So, you know, so make sure that you are, you know, taking things seriously if this is something that you want to do, because right now you're still ahead of all of that. So, you know, make sure that you know, understand that position and try to take advantage of it.
Now would be a good time to maybe transition into that conversation. We were talking about staying relevant in the future, right? Because the things that are going to happen in the next several years in the content space, it's going to happen fast.
That's right.
Yeah. So you want to talk about your strategy, how you're planning for the next, like, are you looking X amount of years in advance? Or
Yeah. So I'm looking at maybe about 5 years. Like
the next 5 years.
We know where YouTube's come. We have a lot of best practices, but where are we going to be in the next 5 years? Now, I've already noticed a trend. I'm very plugged into my space and actually, you know, my country that I live in. And so I've seen a pattern that's kind of disturbing where a lot of the big content creators are falling off. Despite making the best content, the coolest thing, like they might be the top rated, you know, entertainment creator, but now they're down to, you know, position 50 or 66, like
Right.
where they used to be in the 20s or 30s.
Right.
Like I've seen people fall off, and I'm looking at views. Like the views just across the board aren't where they were.
You're talking
before.
about YouTube specifically?
YouTube specifically, because if you think about it, you know, 10 years ago, YouTube had 100% market share. If you wanted to watch online content, you were on YouTube. Every kid was on YouTube. It was just a huge golden opportunity where if you had something on YouTube, people had no choice but to watch it, you know, or like, you know, that platform. But now there's
More people eating the food. Yeah.
there's more and more content creators, and now you have the problem of more and more video platforms to consume content on. You know, it's just a numbers game. You know, TikTok's thriving, Facebook, Instagram, all showing increases, you know,
And you're also competing with like
Twitter.
Netflix and Twitter and like
and then
Disney
you've got,
on your phone.
Yeah,
And, people.
I mean, all of that, you know, the game is attention,
Yeah.
and all of that is stealing attention from YouTube's platform. And to make matters worse, YouTube's actually cannibalizing their own platform to push shorts to be competitive. So, I mean, just across the board, views have been dropping and dropping and dropping. Now, that sounds like doom and gloom, which it kind of is. But the upside to that is I believe that this new market is going to have a lot of new abilities and new opportunities for content creators to, you know, jump into other platforms that are growing like crazy and establish yourself like basically for the next 5 years. Right now is a land grab that has actually already been going on for a year or two. And I think it's a great time to have a multi-platform content strategy and look into short form content in addition to your long form content.
Yeah.
So Jerry here's great comment. You're competing with every notification on every phone.
That's right.
Right. So you're no longer
great,
just
yeah.
competing against what a particular viewer is interested in on YouTube. You are competing against every single ding and notification and buzz and everything that it could be a Disney update. It could be a FaceTime, whatever. You're competing against every possible distraction that a viewer has.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think overall YouTube views are going up, especially with like YouTube Shorts and all that. In your
Yes.
particular space, your channel and the channels in your space have all noticed that trend of long form content decreasing in views.
Right. And I'm seeing, you know, shorts dramatically going up.
Yeah.
Like our shorts are way outperforming our
long form.
long form content.
Yeah.
But you know what? Here's the thing is that I don't just look at the numbers. We talk to our audience. I run into people and we ask them like, what are you watching now? And I get answers from grandmas that say, oh, well, I'm just watching TikTok now.
Yeah.
So like before we thought, oh, well, long-form content's safe because it's the kids that are going after the short-form content.
that's changed.
And if you have an adult content, you know, adult channel, yeah, like you could probably be okay. And that was true for a while, but I think things are really shifting. And I've seen it with brands who are way more interested in doing TikTok brand deals now than YouTube. And so I am a long-form YouTube creator, am disturbed by this trend. I would like very much to just keep doing my long-form content, make my money, blah, blah, blah. But the reality of the situation is things are changing. AI is coming, is here.
It's here.
It's here.
Yeah.
And AI
At our
video
YouTube meetup
is-
yesterday, like, there were two people there that were making AI specific content where they were basically having ChatGPT write their scripts for them. They were sending it off to, you know, somebody to do like, you know, the images and stuff like that. But basically the whole entire process was automated, starting with the AI script and then having an AI voiceover for it. And then, you know, getting that in there. So basically they're just pumping this content out. And that's all stuff that, you know, that we're going to be competing with.
Yeah.
So over coffee, we were talking about, because you're seeing the decline in your space. We were talking about the importance of just, if you're looking at the next 5 years, of staying relevant through the next 5 years. Because there's so many people in the audience right now in the chat who are, maybe they're just starting, maybe they haven't built that channel momentum yet. And I know you're going to agree with me here, and you're probably going to agree with me too. I would urge you as quickly as you can. And I'm not throwing any shade at YouTube at all. I absolutely love YouTube. But I urge you to get on YouTube Shorts, get on TikTok, get on Instagram Reels, get on Facebook. You're going to have to stay relevant. You have to.
Way
Yeah,
to bring it down here, fellas.
Well, no. I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
way to
like,
bring it down. Yeah.
Do you agree?
I agree.
Yeah.
100%. Like
Stuff's changing fast, man.
Yeah.
It's changing really fast.
And I think the audience, you guys can comment. Maybe you see it too. That do you feel like things are changing with technology in today's world? Do you feel like we're on a path of change?
Yeah, you know, with all that said, though, you know, like, to be fair, so without question, everything is changing. But, you know, there are, you know, like we were talking, as, you know, some of what we were talking about earlier today is, you know, there is still, you know, demand for long form content as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And, you know, with YouTube Shorts, you know, also, you know, thriving. So, you know, also, you know, it's important to test what it is that you're doing against, you know, like, okay, so we're going to put out a bunch of long form videos, see how those do. We're going to put out a bunch of shorts, see how those do. We're going to put out a bunch of TikTok, see how those those do, a bunch of reels, see how those do, and start seeing what works best for the people that you're trying to reach. Because at the end of the day, like what you're ultimately trying to do is simply get in front of the people that will enjoy your content. And then it's your job as the content creator to, you know, help them find that as easily as possible. And it might be, you know, on another platform for some of it. It might be here on YouTube. You know, it might be, you know, maybe you need to make a movie for Netflix. I don't know. But, you know, you just got to, you know, get it in front of people where, you know, where they are.
Let me rephrase what I said. If you're trying to be a professional full-time content creator, I would urge you to get on all the platforms, test them out, see where your audience is going to be at across all the platforms. If you're doing this for fun or you're just like part-time, whatever, I don't think it's that important. But if you're like, hey, this is what I want to do, this is where I want my career to go, you got to at least test it on those other platforms.
If you're going to rely on YouTube for an income source, and you want to secure your spot, you want to stay relevant, you want people to talk about you and want to see your videos, I think it's time for a more robust strategy than just upload to one place. And to be honest, you know, so I felt like it brought the mood down a little bit because
it's a
like
conversation that needs to be.
It is a conversation it needs to have.
Just bad timing. Yeah, as we're bringing it down. But yeah, go ahead.
So, but there's a couple good things. And one is that trying out new platforms often leads to pleasant surprises.
Yes.
We tried content on Facebook and it didn't work right away, but we kept trying and we found a format that worked for a slightly different audience. And that became our new business that way surpassed our original YouTube business. Like, so had we not made the effort to you know, figure out Facebook, it wouldn't have occurred like that. And we've had pleasant surprises on TikTok. We've, you know, had just many views, videos blow up where we didn't think they would blow up. And here's the other thing. So sometimes, you know, I hear from YouTubers that like, I put out this piece of content and it didn't do the way I was expecting it to do. Sometimes it does really good on a different platform. I have had videos, so many videos where it did awesome on Facebook, long form videos, and it did terrible on YouTube. Or vice versa. It just blew up on YouTube and it fell flat on Facebook because the audiences might be a little bit different. And so it's awesome that we now have that reach and that opportunity to reach more people in different market segments with the exact same content than what we had before. So it's more opportunity. And here's the thing, is a lot of times it's, you know, once you've made your video, you might have now multiple upload options. It's not that much extra time. Like a lot of times it's like 5 minutes. So now, like, you know, I upload my videos. So my typical schedule is like, you know, I go to Facebook, I upload our, you know, the main video to Facebook, and then I go to my YouTube channels, upload the same video with the same thumbnail to YouTube, and then I'll do the short. And here's a cool tip. So you want a cool little takeaway that you can apply right now if you do short form and long form content is when we make short form and long form content on the same topic, same video, you can actually add an end screen to the short, to the YouTube short. And I make it as short as possible because, you know, time's minimal. And I usually push it towards the bottom so I can still see faces. So I have like one little end screen on the short with a video that connects to the long form video. So you're complaining like, I don't get paid for shorts. Yeah, but you can now use that short as an ad to get people into your long form content where you do make money. So,
on the shorts where you do that, do you find that it hurts the performance of the short?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because you're still leading people into YouTube. So I just didn't know if that damaged you in the actual short shelf or not.
I don't think so.
Okay.
You know, I mean, YouTube has it set up for a reason like that. So I don't think they're going to punish you for promoting
your other video.
YouTube content.
Right.
And YouTube, I mean, they're, you know, when creators make money, YouTube makes money.
Right, totally.
Right. So I don't think it's something that they would punish you for. But it's still a little early. People keep asking me, like, what are your stats? What does your stats say? Like, I don't know. Like, I haven't really sat down to measure.
You're like, back off, nerds.
Yeah. Give me time to work.
Yeah, I want to say also, it's by saying all of that, I'm not saying it's too late. I think right now is a perfect time to get started.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say before.
Yeah. Because I don't want anybody. Oh, it's too late. I'm not even going to try. No, try. Like right now is your time.
Yeah,
let me say this:
you're ahead of it now.
Hardly any people even know about Facebook Watch.
Yeah.
Like for years, we were saying, "Man, like I like
didn't know
YouTube,
about it until we were talking yesterday. I thought that you were referring to Reels on Facebook or
Facebook Watch.
but not Facebook Watch.
Let me say this to the audience: if you didn't know, and I will explode a few heads on this one. Facebook has a monetized video platform for long form videos, just like YouTube with AdSense. In other words, you once monetized, and I believe you have to have 5,000 followers and 600,000 watch time minutes, which is a lot, but they have lowered it. And you get that on your Facebook content, and that's uploading actual Facebook content to a Facebook page, getting video views. If you can cross that monetization threshold, Facebook will pay you just like AdSense for your videos. And they pay sometimes 2, even 3 times as much as YouTube. So, like, can you imagine having double your AdSense revenue or triple in addition to your existing AdSense revenue? It's crazy.
And if you're going to do that, what was your thing? You can't have any like calls to action, right? So you can't try to get people to like your videos. Like if you're going to take your direct YouTube videos and just upload them there, if you want to get monetized, you can't ask people to like, you can't ask people to subscribe or follow.
Right.
You can't ask for any of that stuff, correct?
Right. So we actually
it.
started having sort of more of a Facebook first content policy with some of our videos and kind of making them for Facebook and then uploading the content to YouTube. You also want to have a really strong hook in the beginning of the video to stop the feed. That's a little bit different from YouTube. So there's some differences, but usually the differences are pretty minor towards the fact that you can probably make a piece of content that does pretty well on both.
Okay.
But man, if you can get it to work, and it is frustrating, but their support is getting better, and it's another viable option for a long form creator, this path, and nobody knows about it. There's like one course on the entire subject. So there you go.
So on that note, thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out today. As a quick reminder, Jesse and Owen also do have a course that they're doing where they put strategies together for content creators and teach you about a lot of this stuff. You can find information about that down in the description below. But for those of you that are new content creators, this has probably been a really interesting conversation to get Jesse's experience. I know it's always interesting to talk to you anyway. But when it comes to all this stuff, it might seem like there's a lot of technical things and all of that, but keep in mind there is, and YouTube is hard, and it does require work and energy and effort and thought and all of those things. But if you are somewhere now where you're like, man, I'm just trying to like get the ball rolling, just keep working, right? Because at the end of the day, all of your results are going to come from your understanding of things, and it's going to come from what you're willing to do, and it's going to come from your technical ability or your skill sets in order to be able to do those things. So make sure that you are working on your skills all the time. You're always trying to improve. You're always trying to get better. And most importantly, you're always trying to better understand and serve the audience that you are making content for. So on that note, have an awesome rest of your weekend. D, great stream. Jesse, great stream. Yeah. And
fun.
yes, have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you next time.